The car speeds along the empty winding road, its motion filled with quiet urgency under the bright daylight. The player lands a powerful counterattack in the game, causing a high combo count despite a bad rating, hinting at a critical moment in the battle. The driver tells Gilsu to stop using his phone, suggesting a need for focus or urgency, while the young man hesitates as he holds it. Reiji looks down with a troubled and withdrawn expression, burdened by inner thoughts that hint at an impending challenge. A white car speeds through a tunnel, its motion hinting at urgency and a looming confrontation. A woman reminds Gilsu that his father is talking to him and urges him to respond at least. The man drives through the tunnel with focused eyes in the rearview mirror, silently preparing for what lies ahead. The young man sits in the back of a car, focused intently on the screen of a handheld device, unaware of the heavy boxes around him that hint at a larger, hidden task. Reiji studies the screen intently, his thoughtful gaze hiding the weight of what he is about to discover. The leader taunts with a cigarette in hand while his companions smirk behind him, their confident stance hiding a dangerous intent. Reiji opens his mouth wide as someone forcefully pushes a cigarette inside, while insults are scrawled across his face, hinting at the cruel humiliation he endures. The young man lies defenseless on the ground while three others aggressively stomp and kick him, revealing a merciless attack that hints at a brutal outcome. The woman tells Reiji that if he gets bullied and hit at the new school, he should just quit, while the young man remains absorbed in his handheld device. The young man quietly expresses his hope that the other will find a life where they feel more at ease, his eyes reflecting a mix of sincerity and hidden concern. A tearful woman clings to a man's arm, pleading desperately for mercy or help. A car speeds down an empty highway at night, engines roaring with urgency. The main character watches in silence as the screen flashes their defeat, the burning ruins behind the fallen figure hinting at a costly battle lost. Reiji sits silently in the car, gripping his phone tightly as a heavy weight of worry and unresolved thoughts presses down on him. The ominous sky looms over Six Gates High School, hinting at a storm both in weather and fate about to break. The guy walks briskly, each step echoing with a purposeful rhythm that hints at urgency or a looming confrontation. Reiji walks toward the school building with a heavy step, his thoughts clouded by uncertainty about the day ahead. The older man reassures the young student as they walk together through the empty hallway, implying support for the challenges ahead. Reiji stands nervously at the front of the classroom as the teacher introduces him, revealing that he has never been here before, while the students watch him with curious eyes. Reiji cautiously greets everyone, expressing a tentative hope for acceptance. The young man stands still, his gaze fixed downward, hinting at a moment of hesitation before a crucial step. Reiji reacts sharply to an unexpected sound, his cautious gaze hinting at underlying tension. The classroom claps and greets the newcomer warmly, showing a friendly but possibly calculated welcome. The guy sarcastically remarks on having a sole person in class, while others react with mixed friendliness and underlying hostility, signaling a tense shift in the classroom atmosphere. Reiji freezes in shock, his anxious gaze revealing that something unexpected has just caught his attention. The school bell rings, marking the beginning of a new day filled with unknown challenges. The muscular guy with rolled-up sleeves calls out to the new student sitting alone at the desk, signaling an impending confrontation. The two young men stand with their hands in their pockets, one silently observing while the other carries a quiet confidence despite a fresh wound, hinting at recent conflict and unresolved tension between them. Reiji looks worried and uncertain, sweat trickling down his face as he faces an unseen but pressing challenge. The young man with black hair is roughly grabbed by the hair and scolded for giving him a disliked type of bread, the aggressor's threat hanging heavily between them. The guy suddenly feels a hand on his shoulder, causing an immediate reaction of surprise and alertness. The guy named Jin Do-il gently introduces himself to the newcomer and invites him to go to the convenience store together, while another student cheerfully greets them. Reiji looks surprised and hesitant as he agrees reluctantly to something suggested by another person. The calm sky and rustling leaves foreshadow a quiet before the storm, hinting at tension beneath the serene facade. Reiji looks down with a troubled expression while the man beside him dismisses his concerns by calling him an idiot. The guy mocks Gilsu's unusual eyebrows, suggesting that's why his girlfriend left him, while Gilsu awkwardly responds in confusion. Reiji nervously admits that he finds something charming in its own way, revealing his hesitant attempt to see the positive side despite inner doubt. The young man's calm expression hides a subtle determination as he glances away, suggesting he's carefully considering his next move. The young man animatedly shares a story while his friends listen with amused interest, sensing a moment of camaraderie and subtle challenge beneath their laughter. Three friends lean on each other in relaxed camaraderie, sharing jokes and smiles that hint at a close bond and carefree moment between them. Reiji calmly drinks from a juice box while engaging in a conversation with the other young man, hinting at a casual yet meaningful exchange between them. Reiji notices something unexpected as a splash of liquid hits him, and the other guy reacts sharply, making the young man exclaim in surprise. Reiji looks down at the young man with a stern expression, while the young man nervously holds a spilled drink and explains the accident, hinting at underlying tension between them. Reiji anxiously admits to the other guy that something spilled on him and hurriedly offers to pay for cleaning, urging him to come to class later. Reiji reassures the other person that everything is fine despite his surprised reaction and the hand gripping his shoulder. The character acknowledges the offer with a reserved acceptance, hinting at underlying considerations. The young man smiles softly, conveying a calm moment that hints at hidden intentions beneath his gentle expression. Reiji notices the dark stains on the sleeve of the guy in front, his cautious gaze revealing unease as he clutches his drink, sensing that something is off. Reiji smiles softly, hiding a mix of hope and uncertainty behind his calm expression. The guy cautiously unzips a bag that is trembling, hinting at something important or dangerous inside. Reiji sits at his desk focused on something in front of him while a classmate calls him to hurry up, to which he silently agrees, hinting at a hidden urgency beneath the ordinary school atmosphere. Reiji reflects silently, relieved that he took action in time. The young man calls Gilsu by name, prompting the seated boy to look up with a questioning expression. The young man with a bandage on his cheek casually asks if there are any plans for today, hinting at a deeper purpose behind the seemingly innocent question. The character hesitates and denies having any plans when asked, hinting at uncertainty or hidden intentions. Reiji nervously agrees to go somewhere with the other person, showing hesitation but acceptance. The streetlight casts a dim glow against the dark night sky, hinting at an eerie calm before impending tension. Two young men walk side by side in the quiet night, their footsteps echoing as they head toward an uncertain destination that promises tension ahead. Reiji follows silently behind the man in the white shirt, his anxious gaze fixed downward as he struggles with the weight of unspoken worries. Reiji anxiously questions their destination and notes that they have been walking for a long time, revealing his growing unease about their journey. The speaker explains their intention to show the other person a specific place, hinting at a planned meeting or reveal. Reiji looks away thoughtfully as he recalls being told that newcomers to the school are required to go to a certain place, implying a hidden rule or test he must face. The young man questions the necessity of something uncertain while following a burdened figure ahead, his hesitation contrasting with the other's resolute steps. Reiji glances back with a cautious, conflicted look as the other guy leads the way in silence, hinting at unspoken tension between them. Reiji gazes thoughtfully at the quiet city at night, his mind weighed down by an unspoken concern. Reiji asks if the other person has ever practiced boxing or a similar sport, implying a challenge or a test of strength is about to follow. The young man asks if he is involved in boxing, and the guy walking away denies it hesitantly, hinting at a deeper truth behind his answer. Reiji smirks with a bandage on his cheek and warns that what lies ahead will require real courage, hinting at a dangerous challenge. Reiji, feeling the pressure of time, is urged by someone to hurry as they are almost at their destination, his anxious gaze reflecting the urgency of the moment. The guy's arm is covered in fresh, deep scratches, hinting at a recent brutal struggle he barely survived. The young man is threatened with a knife while two others surround him, one taunting him with a cruel smile and the other blocking his movement, creating a tense and dangerous standoff. Reiji struggles on the ground beneath a threatening boot while a group of smug onlookers mocks him from behind. Then a sinister gang leader with glowing eyes and a knife lightens the tension with a cruel, provocative gesture, signaling the danger is far from over. Reiji freezes in sudden realization, his anxious gaze shadowed by a heavy sense of impending danger. The young man hesitates nervously to speak, while the guy with Reiji's thoughtful gaze turns around, curious about the sudden hesitation. The character apologizes and explains that he feels the need to leave. Reiji nervously suggests returning to this place another time, hiding his anxiety behind a forced smile. The sudden firm grip on the shoulder shocks the young man, catching him completely off guard. The young man reassures his companion that they are almost at their destination, placing a comforting hand on his shoulder as a faint hope flickers between them. A character invites another to quickly come and take a look despite being busy, hinting at something urgent or important. Reiji's anxious gaze reveals his deep concern as a tense moment weighs heavily on him. A secluded building glows under the starry night, suggesting a secret meeting or hidden danger waiting inside. Reiji puts his arm around the young man with the yellow backpack, showing support and silently conveying reassurance as they walk forward into the uncertain darkness. Reiji leans heavily on a companion for support, clearly exhausted and struggling to keep going as the other man steadies him with a firm grip on his shoulder. The hand forcefully pushes open the door, revealing a sliver of bright light and signaling a moment of decisive action or an impending revelation. Reiji struggles with pain and clutches his arm while the man behind him smiles slightly, suggesting a hidden intention behind his support. Reiji looks away nervously, caught off guard by something unexpected. A crowd cheers wildly as two fighters clash fiercely in the ring, while the young man with the backpack watches in stunned disbelief, sensing that something unexpected is about to unfold. A group of angry young men yells for someone to be caught, their raised fists showing their fierce determination. The group of young men is shouting encouragements, urging someone to finish strong, while also warning to conserve energy for what lies ahead. The fighter delivers a powerful kick that lands with a sharp impact, while a voice praises the move, hinting at a high-stakes battle unfolding. The character demands Switch to let him go next, revealing impatience and eagerness to act. Reiji's eyes widen in shock and his mouth opens as if he is desperately trying to explain or warn about an impending danger. The young man laughs and suggests that the other must be shocked, while the student in uniform looks cautious and demands to know what is happening. The fighters acknowledge the school arena as an exclusive privilege, with one opponent congratulating the other on his growth while they prepare for the next round amid an enthusiastic crowd. Kazuki calls out to the young man, who responds with surprise alongside his companion. The character demands to know who is accompanying the other, revealing suspicion and tension in the conversation. The muscular fighter Jang Chung crosses his arms with a confident smirk that hints at his readiness for the upcoming challenge. The guy with a bandage on his face happily informs the other young man that a new student transferred to his class today, while the latter listens with a mix of surprise and unease. The character questions aloud whether the frightening individual before him could really be a high school student, hinting at disbelief and underlying tension. The shirtless young man provocatively calls someone over, warning them they will regret mocking his eyebrows, while his companions grin confidently behind him. The young man reacts in surprise as the older fighter reassures him with confidence that he will soon arrive. Reiji suddenly notices something, his eyes widening with surprise and alertness. The speech bubble reveals that the speaker introduces himself as Jang Chung, the student council president of Six Gates High, setting a tone of authority. The muscular man smirks down at the young man in a suit, who reacts with shocked fear as if realizing the danger he is in. A voice welcomes someone to the school, hinting at a new beginning or challenge awaiting the newcomer. The young man nervously greets the muscular fighter, overwhelmed by his enormous presence. Two men cheer loudly for harder effort, while a young man with a backpack looks back confused, standing beside a muscular figure in a black sleeveless shirt. The two fighters clash fiercely, each landing a powerful punch aimed at the other's face, their determination and anger colliding with explosive force. Reiji freezes in panic, his wide eyes and sweating brow revealing sudden fear as an unseen threat draws near. The man with maroon hair enthusiastically admits that this year's freshmen are impressive, while the young man in the school uniform reacts with surprised confusion. Reiji glances anxiously upward, sweat forming on his temple as he senses an imminent threat or startling revelation. The muscular man points to himself as the true face of the school, while the nervous young man reacts with a startled apology, hinting at an uneasy power dynamic between them. The muscular man tells the young man that their school has no bullies, hinting at an underlying challenge as a fight unfolds in the background. The young man freezes with a sudden realization, his eyes wide as if confronted by an unexpected truth. The fighter with maroon hair reveals a sinister grin, hinting at a hidden plan or threat behind his confident words. Reiji's eyes widen with shock and fear as he suddenly realizes the danger lurking in the shadows. The man mocks the suffering endured in school and provocatively suggests relieving stress in the present moment. Reiji reflects on the harsh reality that the school is a place where everyone faces violence equally. The main character hesitates as he tries to identify something important, indicating a moment of realization or discovery that could change everything. The fighter lunges forward with a fierce punch, sweat dripping as the crowd roars in excitement, their cheers promising a battle where every move could mean victory or defeat. The young man freezes in shock, his eyes wide open and mouth agape as if he has just realized a devastating truth. The muscular man with maroon hair tells the young man he dislikes complications and demands his full attention, while the latter reacts with surprise and concern. The shirtless fighter leans against the barrier while the crowd behind him cheers loudly with raised fists, celebrating his victory or dominance. Two fighters face each other in the ring, their breath visible as they prepare for battle, tension mounting with every cautious movement. The young man stands motionless with hands in pockets as two fighters exchange powerful blows around him, conveying an intense clash while he watches with cold detachment, hinting at control or judgment over the violent duel. The muscular man restrains the young man in a school uniform while a third person coldly announces his arrival, catching them off guard. Someone questions the newcomer about his whereabouts, implying suspicion and challenge. The man laughs confidently with his hands in his pockets, projecting a relaxed yet commanding presence that hints at a deeper plan behind his cheerful demeanor. Reiji's shocked expression reveals his realization of a past moment when someone laughed carelessly, hinting at a hidden truth that unsettles him deeply. The young man provocatively challenges his opponent to a fight to settle the debt for the cleaning fee, tightening his tie with a confident smirk that hints at his readiness for the upcoming clash. The muscular man tells the young man to learn as he goes, since he already has an opponent, and the young man reacts with surprise and hesitation, trying to stop him. The fighter sternly declares that any violence outside the arena is forbidden and all grudges must be settled within it, hinting at the dangerous rules that govern their confrontations. Reiji listens intently as someone tells him the most important rule is not to be scared but to just have fun, the weight of the advice lingering in his anxious expression. The empty ceiling reflects the flickering lights, casting unsettling shadows that hint at a hidden threat lurking beyond the calm. The young man stands alone facing the crowd in the fighting ring, contemplating that a fight might be just another part of his daily routine. The young man signals readiness, preparing to initiate a decisive action. The fighter spreads his arms confidently, showing no fear as the crowd erupts in cheers behind him, signaling the start of a battle that could change everything. The crowd urges the young man to fight as he braces himself with clenched fists, his face showing a mix of anxiety and determination. The crowd erupts with cheers as the fighters face each other in the ring, the tension thick as the match begins. A group of guys comments on the transfer student's bad luck for being targeted by Kang and Hai on his first day, while another questions if Kang is famous or just a first year. The shirtless young man clenches his fists in a fighting stance, while another person reveals he is the younger brother of someone notable and recently enrolled at their school. The shirtless man taunts the nervous young man in front of the crowd by reminding him he intended to give him a handicap for his first fight, challenging his resolve. Reiji clenches his fist tightly, trembling with a mix of fear and determination as he braces himself for an impending challenge. A man's foot steps forward decisively as he warns that there will be consequences if the other person refuses to come. The character agrees with determination to take on the forthcoming challenge. The young man braces himself as a shirtless fighter charges fiercely towards him, signaling an imminent clash filled with explosive tension. The young man trembles with fear and clenches his fists, his voice rising in a desperate shout, as if challenging an unseen threat. Someone tries to shout but is forcibly silenced, their muffled cry revealing urgency and struggle. The young man freezes in shock, his eyes wide with a sudden terrifying realization that threatens to unravel everything. The muscular man with maroon hair listens intently, while the two others express shock and urgency, one of them revealing alarming news that deepens the tension. The sudden loud noise shatters the tense silence, casting an ominous shadow over the dimly lit room. A group of men reacts with visible shock and fear, their tense expressions revealing the sudden impact of unexpected danger or news. Four men sweat and shout in shock, their expressions revealing sudden fear and desperation as if they just witnessed something terrifying and unexpected. The shirtless fighter covered in mud stands triumphantly over the weakened opponent who struggles to respond as the crowd reacts with shock and excitement. The young man clenches his teeth in frustration as he struggles with the dirt-covered hand, his tense expression revealing a mix of anger and desperation. A character urgently demands a pause, repeating the call with increasing insistence that hints at rising tension or an impending crisis. The young man reels in pain while a muscular fighter orders someone to hurry and bring him a towel, hinting at a brutal fight with a high cost. The young man struggles to hold back tears as dirt smears on his face and hand, revealing a moment of profound anguish and vulnerability. The guy admits he missed the fighting arena yesterday but heard it was intense, and his friend replies that it was unbelievable and he should have been there. The speaker describes a chaotic scene triggered by the transfer student vomiting, emphasizing how wild the situation became. The character mocks someone for vomiting, expressing how embarrassing the situation is. The young man leans over the toilet struggling with sickness as the sound of vomiting fills the confined space. Reiji clenches his teeth in frustration, sweat trickling down his face as he struggles to hold back his panic. Two students casually plan a fight after school, while a third young man remains isolated, slumped over with tension unspoken between them. Kazuki warns not to be afraid and urges to enjoy the moment, his smile hiding a dangerous thrill beneath. The young man struggles with despair, confessing to himself that he couldn't even extend his arm, and fears a repeat of yesterday's ordeal. Reiji covers his mouth in shock and anxiety, struggling to hold back overwhelming emotions that threaten to break his composed facade. The young man counts aloud as his hand presses against the ground, sweat falling in silent testament to his relentless determination. The guy with glasses counts out loud, while the young man presses down on the muscular fighter pinned beneath them. The warrior groans with effort as the count nears a crucial limit, signaling the fight's imminent end. Kazuki struggles to hold himself up, gritting his teeth as pain sweats down his face, showing that defeat is close but not yet certain. Kazuki endures the weight of two boys sitting on him while one of them shouts loudly, startling the young man who steps back in shock. An unseen character boasts loudly about reaching a milestone of 1,000, hinting at an even more ambitious goal involving 3 people next time. Reiji freezes with wide eyes and a drop of sweat, overwhelmed by doubt about someone's true identity as a high schooler. The muscular man asks the transfer student if he has something to say, while the transfer student nervously denies it and a bystander reacts with surprise. The young man hesitates but reveals he has a question about the fighting arena, hinting at underlying curiosity or concern. Reiji hesitates and nervously tries to explain something, revealing his inner doubt about the situation. The muscular man mocks the young man by sarcastically questioning if he gained any new skills besides vomiting, while others watch and one of them reveals becoming a fan after a recent incident, inviting him to come along today. Reiji nervously denies the assumption, struggling to explain himself. The young man announces that he can no longer participate in the fighting arena, causing a tense silence among those in the classroom. A group of young men stand frozen in shock and disbelief, their wide eyes and sweat revealing they have just witnessed something impossible or terrifying. The muscular man questions why the injury didn't happen yesterday, implying suspicion about the timing. The young man confesses his lack of confidence and unwillingness to fight or hurt anyone, revealing his aversion to violence despite the imposing presence before him. The young man admits he doesn't understand the fighting arena and implies he can no longer participate. The muscular man confronts the younger guy with a threatening grip, indicating he is about to react dangerously to what was just said. The muscular man with maroon hair grips the young man by the head and demands confirmation, while the latter reacts with shock and confusion. The muscular man interrupts the young man hesitating to speak, asserting his authority as the school president to make an important announcement. The muscular man walks away with purpose, leaving the young man in a suit shocked by the gravity of his warning. The image shows the exterior of a high school building under a calm sky, setting the stage for unfolding events within its walls. The young man sits alone at a desk, deep in thought while others talk and move around him, unaware of the tension he hides beneath his calm exterior. Reiji clutches his chest with a trembling hand, overwhelmed by a sudden wave of dread that threatens to consume him. A character recognizes the class, implying a discovery that may change the course of events. The young man senses someone's presence behind him and looks back cautiously as the other person stands nearby with a silent, tense posture. A young man confronts the transfer student with a teasing remark about quitting the fighting arena, while he internally recalls that these visitors had come the day before. The young man clenches his fist and slams it down with fierce determination, unleashing a powerful impact that shocks everyone around. The young man threatens to slowly teach the other what true meaning in this school entails, his chilling smile hinting at a dark lesson ahead. Reiji is forced down with a hand gripping his head, while the speaker reveals a shocking need for a slave, leaving the young man helpless and tense. The group of young men share a lively conversation, exchanging friendly punches and laughter, revealing a close bond filled with playful camaraderie. Reiji endures a brutal hit to the face, blood and pain flashing across his features as the force strikes him mercilessly. The guy mocks the one kneeling in pain, praising the knee strike and revealing that he heard the victim transferred schools after being beaten up before. A character responds with skeptical surprise, questioning the information they just received. A man stands over a fallen figure, confidently asserting that he knew the consequences when he started beating him up, while 2 others watch with interest. The young man, exhausted and leaning forward, invites someone to come to his class whenever there is a break. Reiji struggles to hold back tears while his face shows signs of pain and exhaustion, revealing a moment of deep vulnerability before an inevitable turning point. A group of students violently beats a young man against the wall while others either watch helplessly or try to avoid getting involved. The conversation reveals doubt and surprise over someone's decision to drop out after only a week, highlighting the weight of a choice made so quickly. The young man admits that he is already preparing for the exam, and the other emphasizes that this preparation means a lot to him, hinting at underlying stakes. The character reluctantly agrees to proceed, acknowledging that there is no other choice. The young man looks down with a heavy expression, thinking silently that he did everything he could. The guy turns away silently while the woman hides her face in distress at the dinner table, revealing the heavy weight of their unresolved conflict. Reiji walks alone across the empty courtyard, his posture weighed down by silent anxiety as the evening sky casts a quiet, tense atmosphere. Reiji walks with his head lowered, burdened by a heavy weight on his mind that tightens his grip on the strap of his backpack. Someone demands to know why the other person isn't fighting, hinting at an underlying conflict or hesitation. Reiji stiffens as he senses the looming presence of the muscular man nearby, who watches him silently with folded arms, hinting at an unspoken challenge. The muscular man demands to know what the problem is, his tone sharp and impatient. Reiji glances sideways with a worried expression, gripping his backpack strap as if sensing danger nearby. Reiji apologizes with a downcast expression, revealing his inner regret and hesitation. Reiji confesses his trauma from past violence and severe bullying at his previous school while walking away, as the muscular man listens quietly, hinting at a deeper tension between them. Reiji admits to himself that he has reached his limit and feels like giving up. The man places a firm hand on the young man's shoulder, interrupting him as he tries to explain that he has done all he can. The guy begins to reveal a thought, setting a tense tone that promises deeper insight or a crucial confession to follow. The fighter glares with a fierce, shocked intensity as he confronts an unexpected moment that seems to challenge his resolve. Reiji freezes in shock, struggling to process a startling revelation that shakes his mind. The muscular man challenges the young man by questioning who told him he needed to fight like a pro, and insists that skills like that are unnecessary. The school president advises that if one lacks strength, they should rely on their instincts in a fight, while the other person hesitates, confused by the sudden statement. The muscular man grabs the young man by the collar and angrily blames him for something critical happening right now. Kazuki intensifies his gaze downward, expressing a grim resolve as he confronts the weight of responsibility resting solely on himself. The young man bites down hard on a cloth to suppress his pain, sweat and tears betraying his desperate struggle to hold himself together. The speaker questions whether leaving everything behind will really lead to an ideal life full of happiness. The guy grits his teeth with fierce determination, revealing the intensity of his resolve and the danger lurking beneath his defiant expression. The young man gasps in shock and fear, struggling to hold back overwhelming emotions. Reiji walks slowly with his head down, his thoughts heavy as if burdened by an unseen weight. Reiji lowers his gaze, burdened by a heavy thought that hints at an unseen struggle unfolding within him. Reiji hears someone call his name sharply as heavy footsteps approach, making him tense up instinctively. The dark-haired guy confronts the others, revealing he knows they plan to skip school, while the surrounding figures smirk with barely concealed menace, hinting at a brewing conflict. The young man smirks with a calculating look, hinting at a hidden plan unfolding behind his confident facade. The character questions how someone could drop out without informing them, revealing a mix of surprise and concealed disappointment. Reiji freezes in shock and wonders how they discovered his secret. The young man mocks the others by saying that if they leave, he will lose his usual target, and he claims that since the fighting arena was created, he has never been dominated by anyone. The young man challenges the other, questioning whether he truly believes everything will stop if he gives up, his intense gaze revealing the weight behind his words. The character orders someone to follow him using harsh, aggressive language, revealing intense hostility or pressing urgency. Reiji's eyes widen in shock and fear as a chilling realization sinks in, his body tense as if bracing for an imminent threat. A group of men beats Gilsu while mocking him and insisting they can't lose the only loser of 6 gates, adding he's the most handsome when getting beaten up. The young man crouches defensively, clutching his head as 3 aggressors surround him, one wielding a baton with a sinister smile, revealing the imminent threat and his desperate struggle to survive. The calm man tells Gilsu he should be glad, while Gilsu's fist slams powerfully, revealing rising tension beneath the surface. The man mocks the threat by claiming that if his brother had been present at his peak power, the opponent would have been killed without question. The character asks if the address previously sent to him is correct. Reiji calmly reads a message on his phone and prepares to strike with a syringe while 3 aggressors threaten a fallen young man, revealing a tense confrontation where the price of hesitation could be fatal. The character confidently assures that their intelligence network is excellent, hinting at a well-informed and possibly dangerous advantage. Reiji struggles to push himself up from the ground, his face bruised and bloodied, while someone stands over him, signaling the harsh cost of a critical mistake in a dangerous confrontation. The character remarks with surprise and admiration that Gilsu lives in such a nice place. The man examines something on his phone with a gleam of satisfaction while holding a cigarette near his lips, suggesting a moment of sinister anticipation. The text reveals a specific address, hinting at a significant location that might play a crucial role in the unfolding story. The young man's eyes widen in shock and fear as he faces an unexpected threat. The man mocks his opponent over the phone, taunting that they will visit next time and meet more often since the other does not take part in the fighting arena, his laughter hinting at hidden menace. The young man struggles fiercely, demanding to know what they plan to do with his address, while the guy with the phone mocks him for finally fighting back. The speaker threatens to take a photo of the beaten group and send it to everyone if they don't hold still, warning of public humiliation. The young man grabs the other's face firmly while showing something on his glowing phone, implying a threatening message or evidence that forces attention. Reiji clenches his teeth and tears stream down his face as overwhelming emotions tear through him, revealing a fragile desperation beneath his determined exterior. The sun shines brightly over the jagged rocks surrounding a deep pit, casting sharp shadows and hinting at the ominous isolation within. The young man stretches his hand forward with a desperate but smiling look, as if trying to grasp something important while hiding his true struggle. A firm grip suddenly clamps down on the dark fabric, signaling an imminent confrontation filled with tension and unspoken threats. Several hands grab the shirt of a person tightly, signaling a sudden, forceful confrontation that hints at danger or an impending struggle. Reiji struggles fiercely as numerous shadowy figures grab his arms and legs, their menacing presence cutting off any chance of escape. The muscular man questions the need to fight like a professional, implying doubt or challenge in his tone. The character dismisses the importance of skill, implying it is unnecessary. The young man's eyes widen in shock and fear, revealing the weight of an unbearable realization dawning on him. The character advises using whatever means are available to fight, even if it means relying on gums instead of teeth, hinting at a desperate yet determined survival instinct. The man clenches his teeth fiercely and tells that if strength is lacking, one should rely on their intuition, because that is the essence of fighting. The character urgently accuses someone, implying a significant confrontation is about to unfold. The fierce warrior accuses someone of not even wanting to protect themselves, his intense glare promising consequences for such weakness. The guy grits his teeth fiercely, his eyes wide with tension, revealing his struggle to hold back a powerful emotion or pain. A group of thugs attacks a terrified young man as he desperately struggles, while another character expresses shock and confusion at the sudden violence. The guy mocks someone's screams with cruel laughter while holding a phone, and he orders to hold the victim tighter, clearly enjoying the torment. Reiji struggles desperately as someone grabs his throat, his eyes wide with fear and pain, revealing the high stakes of this sudden violent confrontation. The character questions himself in anguish, struggling to understand his mistakes. The phone is sinking into the water, indicating a moment of loss or severed connection with a hint of impending consequences. The guy's hand reaches out abruptly as something unexpected falls nearby, signaling a sudden shift or warning. The young man orders his companions to hold a struggling person tighter while another angrily complains about his broken phone, hinting at rising tension and a chaotic confrontation. The main character clenches his teeth while a firm hand presses against his face, signaling a tense confrontation where silence is forced upon him. The young man screams loudly, his face twisted in a fierce, desperate expression that hints at intense anger or pain. A furious man grabs the young man's face and shouts at him, while two others restrain the young man, revealing a tense and threatening confrontation. The young man screams for release while biting down hard on a hand, drawing blood in a desperate act of resistance. Reiji's face twists in fierce determination as he grits his teeth through the pain and blood, his eyes wide with a resolve that hints at a desperate fight still to come. Reiji delivers a powerful punch that sends the opponent crashing to the ground, while two bystanders watch with tense anticipation. The character threatens the opponent with a question about wanting to die, revealing a moment charged with imminent danger. The young man groans in pain, trembling as he struggles to stay upright. The young man clenches his injured hand in pain and angrily calls someone a crazy bastard, admitting the wound really hurts. The fighter taunts his opponent about the pain caused, his smile stained with blood and defiance. Reiji asks the young man on the ground if he understands what just happened, revealing a calm but commanding presence in a tense moment. Reiji, bruised and bloodied, struggles to rise while his fierce expression reveals his defiance against an unseen opponent, as if warning that he is far from defeated. The man mockingly comments on the injury on his hand, noting that even a cornered rat fights back, while the blonde guy watches silently. A blonde man asks if the main character is ready as two others, including a fierce-looking fighter, charge forward, and the young man reacts with sudden alarm. The young man in the white shirt rushes forward with urgency, confronted by two figures who push back fiercely, creating a tense clash charged with imminent danger. The guy violently pushes two attackers away while shouting for them to get lost, catching them off guard and provoking a shocked reaction. Kazuki questions the need to fight like a pro, insisting that skills are unnecessary, hinting at a raw, instinctive approach to combat. Reiji clenches his teeth with a tense expression as sweat and dirt mark his face, revealing a moment of intense struggle or determination. The young man tightly grasps his injured hand, questioning if someone managed to see something during a fall. Reiji runs desperately with bruised and bloodied face, while several men shout an order to capture him and chase him down the corridor. Reiji grits his teeth in anguish, sweat and bruises marking his desperate fight against overwhelming odds. The two fighters clash fiercely in the ring as the crowd around them roars with raised fists, creating a tense atmosphere charged with raw energy and impending consequences. The door ominously creaks open, casting a sharp beam of light and hinting at an approaching presence or hidden threat beyond the room. Kazuki notices a fight breaking out in the ring behind him, his sharp gaze catching the tension in the air as others cheer and prepare for the clash. The young man decisively steps forward and declares that he will take on the challenge, catching the attention of the tense crowd around the ring. Kazuki stands with crossed arms, radiating quiet confidence, while the onlookers behind him express stunned surprise, hinting at an unspoken challenge in the air. The character declares his decision to enter the fighting arena, setting the stage for a bold and potentially dangerous challenge ahead. Reiji clenches his teeth in a furious grimace, his eyes wide with a dangerous mix of anger and desperation, as if struggling against an unbearable inner conflict. A determined voice breaks the tension in the crowded arena as the young man with a confident step declares he will take on the challenge. Kazuki stands with arms crossed, exuding silent dominance, while the surrounding guys watch him with a mix of surprise and unease, hinting at the tension his presence brings. The young man declares his resolve to fight in the arena, signaling a decisive commitment that hints at forthcoming challenges and personal stakes. Reiji clenches his teeth in fierce anger, his tense expression revealing the weight of a desperate resolve. Three determined men rush forward with fierce intent, while one man braces himself against a door, preparing for the impending confrontation. The fighter smirks slyly, hinting at a hidden confidence or a brewing plan. Reiji clenches his teeth with a fierce expression, thinking that the opponent is more entertaining than he initially expected. The crowd erupts in cheers as the fight begins, the tension crackling in the charged atmosphere surrounding the ring. A muscular man reveals his tattooed arm while someone off-screen calls another person a loser, hinting at contempt and rivalry. The tough guy declares to his crowd that he should be the one punishing the nerd, not Inhei, revealing his pride and simmering rivalry. The character expresses frustration and disdain toward the fighting arena. A tense young man warns the blonde that they must keep their voices down because they are not alone, while others behind them prepare for a potential confrontation. Kazuki stands firmly with his arms crossed as a crowd loudly cheers from above and below, signaling the tense anticipation of an impending showdown. The young man acknowledges that he is aware of the situation, standing firmly with two others who share his serious focus. The muscular guy crosses his arms with a stern expression while someone behind him clenches a fist, hinting at rising tension or a brewing conflict. The young man struggles fiercely in a brutal clash, blood mixing with sweat as he endures a punishing blow, his determination burning despite the pain. The young man lands a fierce blow on his opponent, making the crowd erupt in shocked cries as the impact shakes the ring. The young man launches a fierce punch at his bloodied opponent, who struggles to defend himself against the unexpected blow. The speaker challenges his opponent by questioning if he truly believes he could win in a one-on-one fight. The young man clenches his fist with a confident smirk, preparing to unleash a powerful attack that hints at his overwhelming strength. The young man launches a powerful kick that sends his opponent crashing to the ground, blood splattering as the defeated cries out in pain. Reiji crouches on the ground, narrowly avoiding a powerful kick aimed at him, while the attacker mocks the weakness of his opponents and their futile hopes. Reiji delivers a powerful kick to the opponent's chest, sending him flying back with a violent impact that hints at the danger of underestimating his strength. The muscular man taunts the young man, mocking him for regretting his actions and warning that he should have accepted the punishment silently. Reiji is grabbed by the collar, his bruised and scratched face revealing a mixture of fear and defiance as he stares up at whoever holds him. The tension thick with unspoken threats. The young man growls in anger and demands the other to lower his gaze immediately, revealing a fierce confrontation brewing beneath the surface. The shirtless man delivers a powerful punch to the young man in the yellow shirt, whose face is violently struck and bloodied, signaling overwhelming force and a dangerous imbalance in their confrontation. A cold voice warns that losers should accept defeat and stay down, setting a harsh and threatening tone that hints at looming conflict. The young man receives a brutal, unexpected blow to the face, blood splattering as the impact shakes him to his core. The character sarcastically questions whether someone believed real life would play out like a dramatic webtoon scene, hinting at inevitable disappointment or harsh reality. A shirtless fighter delivers a powerful kick aimed at the head of the man with dark hair, whose tense posture shows he is bracing for impact. A loud, explosive sound breaks the silence, signaling an unexpected and possibly dangerous event. The shirtless fighter lands a powerful slam that sends his opponent crashing to the ground, while a group of tense spectators watches the brutal display, sensing the high stakes of this fight. A group of young men cautiously remark on Kang and Hai's fierce strength and question if he is dead, sensing something has broken. The fighter doubts his own readiness as he senses his opponent might still be alive despite the supposed victory. The injured young man collapses to his knees in defeat as the shirtless fighter calmly steps forward, the surrounding crowd silent in anticipation of what will come next. The young man's shocked expression reveals his disbelief that his opponent should have been knocked out by the last attack but still remains standing. The shirtless fighter mocks his opponent who is struggling to stand, warning him not to pretend to be tough while the crowd watches silently. The character warns with deadly seriousness that any further provocation might cost the other person their life. The shirtless fighter, towering over the man bowing before him, questions the meaning behind the man's desperate plea to be killed, while the onlookers watch tensely. The young man, battered and desperate, challenges the odds despite his injuries, showing defiance and raw determination. A loud impact echoes sharply, signaling a sudden and forceful collision that demands immediate attention. The young man launches a desperate tackle with fierce determination, catching his opponent off guard. The young man clenches his teeth in fierce determination, gripping someone tightly as if struggling against overwhelming odds. The fighter crashes heavily onto the ground as the crowd watches in shock, his exclamation revealing his frustration and pain. Two guys mock someone else's sudden outburst and skills, clearly amused by the unexpected rage. The man lying down is shocked that his opponent did not give up and admits he was caught off guard, while the young fighter clenches his fist and screams as he charges his attack. The fighter delivers a powerful punch to the opponent's face, causing blood and impact to explode violently, while the young man reacts with shock. The young man mocks his opponent's slow punches, daring him to land a hit while smirking confidently. Reiji grits his teeth in fierce determination, his bruised face revealing the heavy price of his struggle as he fights to hold on despite the pain. The young man reacts with sudden surprise and confusion, as if something unexpected just caught him off guard. The man in the yellow shirt delivers a powerful, explosive blow to the head of the black-haired young man, shockwaves and force radiating from the impact. The young man receives a brutal punch to the face, his eyes wide with shock as blood splatters from the impact. Kazuki observes the fight with a stern look and admits to finding it more entertaining than expected, while someone in the crowd praises the transfer student's clean hit. The man with maroon hair glares intensely, his fierce expression hinting at a brewing confrontation. The young man winces in pain and fury as a powerful punch strikes his face, scattering blood and sweat with the force of the blow. The fighter in the yellow shirt forcefully kicks his opponent, sending him crashing to the ground while the onlookers react with shock and anticipation. The young man crashes to the ground hard as the crowd watches in tense silence, his pain audible and the impact echoing around them. The young man, bruised and shirtless, vents his rage and challenges his opponent's reckless defiance, hinting at the deadly consequences of underestimating him. The young man clenches his hand tightly by his side, revealing his tension and restraint before an imminent confrontation. The young man struggles to stand, his eyes glowing with fierce determination despite the blood and dirt covering him, hinting at a painful but unyielding fight ahead. The young man in the center confidently leads his group forward, his sly smile hinting at a dangerous plan while the others follow silently, their tense postures warning of an imminent clash. The young man clenches his teeth, coughing up smoke or steam from his mouth as his bare torso reveals tension and exhaustion. The young man faces a shirtless fighter in the ring, while a crowd behind them shouts the name Lee Gilsoo, signaling rising tension and a looming confrontation. The young man bites his teeth tightly, showing determination despite visible tension and weariness. The young man in yellow dashes forward with intent as the shirtless fighter braces for impact amid the crowd's roaring call. A young man screams loudly and charges fiercely at the figure with black hair, his desperation and raw emotion breaking through the tension of the moment. The shirtless young man delivers a powerful punch to the other guy's face, causing a shocked reaction. The young man throws a desperate punch while his terrified expression reveals the grave danger he faces, hinting at a critical moment where fear clashes with survival instinct. The young man apologizes but warns that he will no longer allow himself to be caught off guard, revealing a resolve hardened by past mistakes. The announcement declares Kang In-hai as the knockout winner, hinting at a decisive and possibly intense confrontation. The shirtless young man walks away calmly with his hands in his pockets while the other guy lies on the ground, bruised and defeated, hinting at a recent brutal confrontation. Reiji lies weak on the bed, his eyes half closed and his body exhausted, hinting at a recent struggle or injury that weighs heavily on him. The worn ceiling bathed in dim light hints at a place marked by time and hidden stories, setting a mood of quiet suspense. Reiji lies weakened and battered, struggling to hold on to consciousness as pain and doubt threaten to overwhelm him. The man driving a brutal headbutt into the other's face delivers a merciless blow that could change everything in this violent clash. The guy screams in despair and frustration as he lunges forward with a clenched fist aimed at the person facing him. The young man with dark hair launches a desperate tackle on the shirtless opponent, gripping his waist tightly as he drives forward with fierce determination. The clenched fist, trembling with tension, reveals the character's struggle to control rising anger or fear beneath a calm exterior. The muscular man with maroon hair stares intently with a calm yet piercing gaze, hinting at a hidden threat beneath his composed exterior. The muscular man with maroon hair asks the young man on the bed if he feels more clear-headed now, while the latter looks up at him in surprise, barely recognizing him. The muscular man with maroon hair watches silently as the young man in yellow kneels on a mat, nervously rubbing his hands together, revealing the pressure mounting in their tense confrontation. The speaker questions if the other person remains present solely because of their influence, hinting at underlying emotions or motives. The student council president declares that it is their responsibility to care for a student who has passed out. The muscular man warns the young man that the arena is not meant for killing opponents, implying a strict boundary that must not be crossed. Reiji looks up with a mixture of fear and uncertainty, beads of sweat revealing his inner turmoil. Reiji looks down with a tense expression, his thoughts heavy with regret or a difficult decision weighing on him. The voice warns that the truce or special condition was only meant to last for today, hinting at an imminent conflict or challenge. The muscular man with maroon hair firmly tells the kneeling young man that he is banned from entering starting tomorrow because he is not a 6 Gates High student, implying rejection and a harsh boundary. The young man kneels on the floor, overwhelmed and silently questioning what actions he must take next, as a clenched fist nearby hints at a looming threat. The man with maroon hair and a stern look reacts with disbelief, questioning what he just heard. The young man admits he won't quit despite his evident struggle, while the muscular figure with maroon hair turns away, silently assessing the weight of his resolve. The muscular fighter Kazuki narrows his eyes with suspicion, sensing a hidden threat in the quiet room. The character reveals his strong desire to become stronger, hinting at determination and a challenging path ahead. The young man steps forward aggressively, glaring down at the figure with spiky hair, as if challenging him and daring a confrontation. The man with maroon hair unleashes a confident and menacing grin, revealing he taunts his opponent with an unsettling certainty of victory. The young man freezes in shock, sweat running down his face as he suddenly senses an unexpected threat. The muscular fighter reacts with sharp focus as the young man delivers a powerful blow to his abdomen, hinting at an intense struggle underway. The young man screams in pain and fury, blood staining his shirt as desperation and rage consume him in a critical moment. A loud and chaotic cry fills the air, signaling the sudden eruption of tension or pain. The muscular man with maroon hair taunts the kneeling figure, asking if he feels like he's going to die, his smirk revealing cruel satisfaction in the other's pain. The man smiles confidently and declares that this is only the beginning, hinting at a larger plan unfolding. The speaker promises to train someone to endure powerful punches, hinting at a harsh and challenging preparation ahead. The young man clutches his side in pain, sweat and determination mingling as he struggles to stay conscious despite the injury. A slipper flies through the air, hinting at an imminent clash or sudden confrontation. The sudden sharp sound indicates an unexpected impact or event, heightening the tension and alerting the characters to imminent danger or a critical turning point. The guy holding the soccer ball apologizes nervously and asks if the other is okay, while the other two react with surprise and concern. The young man nervously assures he is okay while scratching his head awkwardly, hinting at underlying uncertainty despite his words. Three guys exchange knowing looks, implying they are plotting something together with quiet confidence. The guy violently grabs Reiji by the collar, accusing him angrily that he had clearly demanded 100,000 won a week. A group of boys mocks a fallen classmate, saying he deserves to be beaten and can't even defend himself, while one of them kicks him down. The young man is brutally kicked, while someone declares they will teach him a harsh lesson and demands a large sum of money by next week. Reiji grits his teeth through the pain and tears, struggling desperately to hold on despite the overwhelming force bearing down on him. The young man pleads earnestly for guidance, revealing a desperate need to learn something crucial. The character confesses a deep desire to gain strength, hinting at a personal struggle or a looming challenge. The young man clenches his fists and advances aggressively, his voice expressing frustration or anger toward the person with maroon hair in front of him. The young man bears a menacing grin, hinting at dark intentions behind his smile. The young man freezes in shock and fear as he senses an imminent threat, his body tense and eyes wide with alarm. The speaker declares his commitment as the student council president to strengthen the weak, hinting at a challenging responsibility ahead. The muscular fighter delivers a powerful strike to the young man, who braces himself against the sudden and forceful attack. The young man screams in pain and desperation, blood staining his shirt as fear and fury collide in his wild eyes. A loud and intense shout echoes, signaling the sudden eruption of conflict or a decisive moment about to unfold. The muscular man with maroon hair taunts his opponent, who is clutching his side on the ground, asking if the pain feels like death. The guy smirks with a confident glint in his eyes, implying that the real challenge is yet to come. The speaker assures that after training, the listener will be able to easily withstand powerful punches. The young man, clutching his side in pain, struggles to catch his breath as sweat drips down his face, revealing the severity of his injury. The young man wonders to himself how hard the blow he received was, hinting at lingering pain and uncertainty about his own vulnerability. Reiji clutches his side in pain while others watch from behind and comment on his injury, sensing something serious has happened. The man with maroon hair challenges the listener to find him during breaks, implying that persistence will lead to strength. Reiji lowers his gaze, burdened by the weight of recent wounds and hidden worries that cloud his thoughts. Reiji turns his head with a questioning look, caught off guard by an unexpected sound or presence behind him. The character speaks about surprised expectation that someone was going to give up. The guy looks around with a surprised expression, clutching the strap of his bag tightly as if something unexpected just caught his attention. The young man nervously admits he changed his mind, while the other responds with surprise, suggesting he must have enjoyed the fighting arena. The guy with black hair praises the bruised young man for his courage while putting an arm around his shoulder, and the injured student tries to protest but stammers. Reiji looks surprised and tense, as a hand firmly rests on his shoulder, suggesting someone is stopping him with urgency or concern. The main character stands confidently in front of the others, who watch him intently with a mix of surprise and suspicion, sensing a tense, unspoken challenge in the air. The young man questions with a hint of disbelief and concern if the sandbag has returned, revealing a wary awareness of a looming challenge. Reiji, battered and sweating, realizes silently that his opponent is much stronger than he expected. The young man steps down the stairs with a mocking tone, expressing surprise at the other's return and suggesting it might be for revenge. A man warns Reiji that he should know his place, while Reiji, bruised and sweating, avoids confrontation but bears the weight of the threat. The wounded young man warns the other that next time he might actually kill him, his gaze sharp with a deadly promise. Reiji glances back cautiously while the group of tough-looking guys blocks the stairway ahead, their expressions challenging as the atmosphere thickens with unspoken tension and the promise of confrontation. The guy notices something unexpected, his expression shifting to surprise as he turns his head sharply. Reiji clenches his teeth in frustration, his face marked by bruises and bandages, revealing the toll of a recent struggle. Reiji clenches his teeth and glares fiercely, his face marked with scratches and determination, revealing the pain and resolve hidden behind his angry expression. The school building stands quiet under an orange sky, signaling the start of an important day filled with unseen challenges. The young man winces in pain as a powerful strike lands on his face, splattering blood and forcing him to clamp his eyes shut against the sudden impact. Kazuki delivers a brutal punch that sends blood flying from Reiji's mouth as the young man staggers back in pain. The fighter warns to keep eyes open and not be scared before aggressively striking, while demanding full attention on his fist. The fighter grabs the injured man by his shirt, confronting him with silent aggression that hints at an imminent threat. The muscular man with maroon hair forbids fighting until their training concludes, revealing a strict and controlling resolve beneath his stern facade. The muscular fighter grabs the bleeding young man by his shirt, whose terrified eyes reveal desperation as he pleads for mercy. The guy takes a hard punch to the face, his bruised and battered expression showing the cost of the fierce battle he is enduring. Kazuki lands a powerful punch to the young man's face, blood splattering as the impact shakes him intensely. Kazuki delivers a powerful punch to the main character's head with a terrifying, relentless force that hints at a brutal struggle ahead. The muscular fighter throws a powerful punch at Reiji, who tries to brace for the hit despite his battered condition. A loud, urgent sound bursts out, signaling the arrival of a dangerous moment that changes everything. The muscular man delivers a brutal kick, sending the young man flying backward with blood spurting from his mouth in a violent display of overwhelming power. Reiji screams in pain and shock, his battered face covered in blood and dirt as he lies helplessly. The shadows of several figures loom ominously above the metal bars, hinting at an impending confrontation or escape attempt. Someone urgently calls to stop, signaling an immediate need to halt whatever is happening. The young man stands shirtless in a boxing ring, his bruised and battered body clenched with determination as he faces an unseen opponent, the tension of the imminent clash hanging heavy in the air. The injured man lies on the ground shouting desperately, his body covered in dirt and bruises, signaling a fierce struggle that just unfolded. The announcement declares Kang In-hai as the winner, hinting at a pivotal moment with high stakes and anticipation. The young man explains that he has been ruthless ever since his fight with Lee Gilsoo, and the other supposes this was because his pride was wounded. The group discusses the potential impact of a headbutt on Kang In-hai, agreeing it is his weakness while mentioning a surprising technique called the barf attack. The young man suddenly notices something, his expression shifting to alertness as if sensing an unexpected threat. The character provocatively challenges his opponent to a fight, questioning the source of their confidence. The muscular man with black hair glares down with suspicion and challenge, questioning the intentions of the young man in front of him. The character hesitantly apologizes to In-hai, struggling to explain. The shirtless guy forcefully pushes a bystander away, causing surprise and tension among the crowd gathering around them. The fighter clenches his teeth in frustration, thinking bitterly about the incompetence surrounding him, despite the crowded background. The young man with a towel asks the group if they have seen Lee Gilsoo, and the others reply that they haven't seen him around lately or even during their breaks, hinting at Lee's sudden absence. The group of young men cheers loudly with raised fists, while someone remarks that a certain person hasn't been coming here either, hinting at a mysterious absence. The character questions whether someone is essentially rejecting the arena, implying a significant and possibly dangerous decision. The young man remains silent, his gaze heavy with unspoken pain and determination after a recent struggle. The young man's eyes widen with shock and fear as he processes a sudden, unsettling realization. The muscular man grimly announces that freshman Lee Gilsoo will no longer have the arena's protection, while the young man in the background walks away, unaware of the looming threat. The young man smiles with a hint of cunning, suggesting a hidden plan or unspoken challenge. The group of three young men looks at the approaching figure with a mix of surprise and suspicion, questioning his sudden appearance. The man smirks fiercely, revealing his plan to take down some opponents without hesitation. The quiet night with stars above hints at a calm before an impending storm, while the empty pathway and glowing streetlights suggest solitude and a looming encounter. The young man runs with urgency, his focused breath visible as he pushes himself faster down the track. The young man, despite his injuries, pushes forward with fierce determination, showing no intention to back down even as he struggles. The fighter delivers a powerful punch that sends the young man crashing backward, hinting at the overwhelming force behind the strike and the pain to come. The muscular fighter delivers a brutal punch to the young man's head, crushing him with overwhelming force and showing no mercy. The young man doubts his chances of becoming stronger using his current training method as he runs into the night. The young man runs desperately, his battered face showing exhaustion and determination, as if fleeing from something dangerous. The motorcycle speeds fiercely, its tires screeching violently against the ground as it tears forward without mercy. Reiji notices a speeding motorcycle and reacts with shock as it comes dangerously close while he is running. The young man delivers a powerful punch to his opponent, who braces for impact, signaling a dangerous escalation in their fierce confrontation. The character reacts with shock and anger, expressing disbelief at an unexpected and disturbing event. The guy on the red motorcycle sharply brakes near the young man standing on the roadside, while two other bikers approach from behind, creating a tense confrontation. The guy is stopped by a loud accusation that he scratched someone's motorcycle, while a group on bikes approaches menacingly from behind, and he looks confused and uneasy. The guy steps forward and suggests that they need to have a discussion, hinting at a serious conversation to come. The man angrily blames the other person for destroying his beloved bike and demands compensation for the costly repairs. The young man reacts with shock and disbelief at the demand for a large sum of money he cannot provide out of nowhere. The young man confronts another, claiming that the other was the one who bumped into him, as two groups on motorcycles observe from nearby. A man aggressively grabs the young man by the hair and mocks him for looking like a loser after a harsh insult. The aggressive man accuses the young man of trying to scam him while delivering a powerful strike that forces the latter to brace for impact, revealing a dangerous confrontation about to unfold. The three mock the fallen man, claiming they witnessed the collision and belittling his defeat as easy to replicate. Reiji lowers his head in exhaustion and pain, his voice barely holding as he admits his limits, hinting at the struggle he faces beyond the visible wounds. The speaker angrily accuses the listener of ignoring them and demands a response. The man with a cruel grin taunts the young man, who is bent over helplessly, implying his dominance and control over the vulnerable opponent. The young man leans forward, his wide eyes filled with shock and uncertainty as he processes an unexpected revelation. A man mocks the young man, implying that he demands not just 5 million but all the money he has now and in the future, asserting his control with a threatening grip on his head. The fighter clenches his fist triumphantly, his wide grin and sharp eyes revealing a fierce confidence that hints at a looming challenge. The young man freezes in surprise as someone suddenly grabs his wrist, catching him off guard. The young man delivers a powerful punch to the face of the opponent with a top knot, fiercely declaring his refusal to give money to someone like him. The character declares that he has overcome his fear and confronts his opponent with defiance. Reiji clenches his teeth and fists, delivering a fierce uppercut that lifts his opponent off the ground, revealing the raw intensity and determination fueling his fight. The character fiercely rejects giving money to someone he despises, revealing deep resentment and conflict. The man tightly clenches his fist against his face, revealing his struggle to hold back overwhelming frustration or pain. The character declares that they are no longer afraid, signaling a turning point filled with defiance and newfound courage. The young man clenches his fist with a fierce expression, preparing to strike downwards with determination, while the shadow over the figure above hints at looming danger or conflict. The guy suddenly grabs someone's wrist firmly, causing surprise and confusion. The character mocks his opponent by questioning if that was meant to be a punch, revealing his confidence and hinting at the coming dominance in the fight. The young man tightens his fist with a confident, almost mocking smile, hinting at a brewing challenge or confrontation. The young man clenches his fists in disbelief as he realizes his punch had no effect, struggling to comprehend the failure despite his efforts. A loud scream pierces the silence, signaling pain or shock without revealing its source. Three people tense up and exchange wary glances as they sense an approaching threat. The woman cautiously holding a cigarette while the men prepare for a possible confrontation. A loud scream breaks the silence, signaling sudden danger or shock. The young man panics as multiple fists rapidly close in on him, making him realize the imminent danger he is about to face. The young man is overwhelmed with panic and desperately wonders what course of action to take next. The young man realizes he has never learned about damage while fists fly rapidly toward him, forcing him to brace for the incoming assault. The character admits to himself that all he has learned is how to take hits, revealing a sense of frustration and helplessness that foreshadows a critical turning point. The aggressor mocks the fallen young man with a harsh insult as he prepares to strike again, revealing a brutal intent that warns of escalating violence. Two men taunt another while forcefully restraining him, mocking his futile struggle as they remind him this is no place to fight blindly. The character mocks someone as a loser while gripping metal knuckle weapons, and another instructs to hold the person firmly, hinting at imminent violence. Someone predicts that the young man will only start to get serious after he suffers a harsh defeat. The large man approaches the trembling young man and his two friends with a clenched fist, while one of the gang mocks him, suggesting he was foolish to be there. The fighter aggressively tells the young man to brace himself as he prepares to strike. Reiji is caught off guard as a fist rushes toward him, his wide eyes revealing sudden fear and desperation. Reiji jumps high with a clenched fist ready to strike the man with spiky hair, who watches him cautiously under the night streetlights. The guy freezes in shock and confusion, barely able to comprehend what he just witnessed. A powerful fist crashes into the man's face, blood spraying as the impact stuns him with brutal force. The young man in the white shirt watches in shock as the fighter in black falls backward from a powerful kick, blood spraying from his injury while two others react with anger and alarm. The young man, wounded and surprised, reacts with shock to something unexpected, his expression a mix of fear and confusion. Reiji dodges a sudden attack, blood splattering nearby, while his focused gaze reveals the growing danger he faces. The speaker reveals their realization that Gilsu is the one involved. The young man smiles warmly despite a fresh wound on his face, hinting at a resilient spirit that refuses to be broken. A man rushes at the main character, shouting in surprise and demanding to know where he came from, while the young man calmly observes the attack. The young man swiftly dodges a punch aimed at him, catching his opponent off guard and leaving him shocked. Reiji strikes a powerful punch to the man's face, sending blood splattering as the impact hits with brutal force. A furious man charges with a stick, cursing the young fighter who calmly turns to face the attack, while a third person watches in shock. Reiji delivers a brutal punch to the man in black, breaking through his defenses and spilling blood, while his clenched fist and focused stance reveal a fierce determination that could change the course of their confrontation. A woman screams in shock while a man collapses to the ground unconscious or severely hurt, hinting at a sudden violent event. The girl angrily demands why someone would faint and leave her alone while urging a man to get up quickly. And Reiji quietly admires the unseen person's strength with a mix of awe and tension. The young man exhales with relief after a dangerous encounter and wonders if the person he thought was ordinary has always been this strong. A furious woman rushes forward, shouting aggressively at the others to challenge their recognition, while two men watch cautiously with one lying on the ground and motorcycles approaching behind them. The guy asserts their team is the strongest first years at Jinsong Technical High School and warns that revealing this to upperclassmen would bring severe consequences. The character demands to immediately cease the ongoing action, conveying urgent warning or command. The young man rises cautiously from the ground while the girl and another guy watch with tense surprise, their expressions revealing they are caught off guard by his sudden move. The bruised and angry man asserts that bringing those guys won't help and points out the enemy's clothes as a clue. A character quietly reveals that the person they are referring to attends 6 gates high, hinting at significance tied to that place. The close-up reveals a symbol of a lion emblem pinned on the character's cloak, hinting at their noble status or allegiance. The two guys run away while one says they underestimated their opponent and regrets provoking someone so powerful. A motorcycle's tire screeches violently, kicking up a cloud of dust as it speeds through the scene, hinting at a sudden and intense chase or escape unfolding. The young man and another guy hear commotion nearby, and the latter mutters angrily about foolish troublemakers. The main character questions the young man with bandages on his face about how he ended up involved with dangerous people, while the young man remains silent, hinting at a deeper story. The character reacts with surprise upon hearing about special training from Jiang Chung, revealing unexpected stakes ahead. The guy on the right comments to the young man beside him that he realizes how serious he is about the fighting arena, hinting at a deeper determination beneath the quiet demeanor. The young man admits he feels weak and explains he was doing stamina training alone before encountering trouble. The guy teasingly recalls seeing the main character throw his hands in the air, making him embarrassed to admit he was watching back then. The character acknowledges relief that the other was neither afraid nor resistant. The young man reassures that his companion is not yet strong enough to fight multiple opponents at once, hinting at the challenges ahead. The young man sitting on the steps criticizes the fighter's caution, claiming he would have dodged and attacked immediately upon meeting the opponent. The guy expresses envy that Jiang Chung is training the main character, who responds with surprise and confusion. The young man explains that adjusting to 6 Gates High School is important for someone who rejected the fighting arena, emphasizing that it is quite a unique school. The speaker warns that they would not have engaged if they had known their opponent's true strength and urges to move on. The injured young man recalls something important as the other fighters prepare for the next move, their tension signaling an imminent threat. The young man tells Do-il that their enemies fled earlier after realizing he belongs to 6 Gates, hinting at an unspoken fear of his true strength. Someone mocks the idea that they would stay and insists they would run away without hesitation. The guy with a bandage on his face tells Reiji their school is well known in the neighborhood, hinting at an underlying reputation that demands attention. The young man freezes in shock, sweat dripping down his face as he realizes something unexpectedly dangerous. The guy smiles quietly with a quiet confidence despite the bandage on his cheek, suggesting he has just endured a challenge but remains unbroken. The narrator explains that Six Gates High School is a notorious gang stronghold known for brutal fights, likening it to a jungle where ordinary students fell victim to unchecked violence. The character expresses shock and disbelief upon learning the true nature of Six Gates. The young man pleads his case desperately, trying to explain that the current peace is thanks to Jiang Chung, who, after dominating the lawless school, established the fighting arena and imposed order with strict rules. The crowd watches as two fighters engage in a one-on-one match within the ring, illustrating how their battles have evolved from chaotic brawls to regulated fights, signaling a shift from senseless violence to a structured way of settling disputes. The young man worries that if Jiang Chung disappears and the fighting arena loses its rules, the situation might revert to a dangerous chaos from the past. Reiji warns that there are still dangerous people trying to regain control of the old Six Gates, revealing tension beneath his determined expression. A scream bursts out, piercing the tense silence above a ceiling stained with patches, hinting at a sudden and violent struggle taking place nearby. The exhausted fighter admits defeat and asks to stop the fight while the victorious opponent clenches his bloody fist, and the spectators watch tensely from behind the ring. The fighter mocks his opponent for being boring and unimpressive, daring them to show more. A voice commands the next person to step forward, hinting at an impending challenge or confrontation. The young man nervously asks why he was chosen, while others around him watch with tense expressions and a tattooed hand points directly at him, implying an unavoidable challenge. The fighter reveals his disdain for his opponent's presence from the beginning, his smirk and clenched fist hinting at a brewing confrontation. The character challenges the other to accept or decline a fight request at the fighting arena, pressing for a decisive answer that could change everything. The young man, bruised and bloodied, speaks with a sinister determination that hints at a dangerous resolve beyond his injuries. The young men observe Park Yong-ho's impressive performance, noting that he is unusually sharp and on a winning streak today. The man mocks his opponents as losers and questions if they have finally realized their position. The young man screams fiercely and throws a powerful punch, his intensity fueled by raw emotion and a resolve that hints at a turning point in the battle. The fighter with blonde hair fiercely strikes the dark-haired opponent with a powerful, bloody blow, overwhelming him with brutal force. The tattooed fighter delivers a powerful punch, smashing his opponent's head with fierce force and sparking a violent clash. The bruised young man desperately pleads for a moment to touch his injured chin while clutching his face in pain, as the tattooed fighter stands nearby with blood dripping from his knuckles and the crowd watches tensely. The fighter delivers a powerful flying kick, striking the shirtless opponent with explosive force that sends him reeling backward. The guy with bruises and blood on his face taunts that the situation is effortless, revealing overconfidence that might lead to a critical mistake. The young man demands the others to step aside, asserting that it is now his turn to face the challenge. The young man removes his shirt with a determined expression, drawing the stunned and anxious gazes of the surrounding group who sense the gravity of the moment. The guy comments on Kang In-hai's arrival and wonders who he will fight, while his companion doubts the opponent will be any of the first years. The young man reacts with sudden alertness, sensing an unexpected presence or sound nearby. Reiji faces a tense crowd near the boxing ring as the shirtless fighter points at him, challenging him without words while the onlookers react with surprise and unease. The young man commands someone to hurry and come to him, his intense expression revealing impatience and underlying threat. The young man protests in disbelief, questioning why he was chosen when they don't even know each other, while the others watch quietly. The shirtless guy admits he got in a bad mood just from seeing the others, and someone explains that this is exactly the reason the fighting arena exists. The young man clenches his shirt tightly, sweat dripping down as he struggles to hold back his fear. The shirtless man calls out to Gilsu with a menacing tone, his expression twisted with intense emotion while gripping the young man's collar. Kazuki steps into the room demanding to know what they are doing, while Reiji and the others tense up in response, their surprise evident as Reiji clenches his shirt nervously. The fighter narrows his eyes with a fierce determination, as if preparing to face an imminent threat that could change everything. The character questions the name Jiang Chung, expressing surprise or trying to confirm it. Kazuki approaches confidently, while a tense group of young men, including one shirtless, brace themselves as if preparing for a confrontation. The character admits to having made a fighting request, hinting at an upcoming confrontation. The shirtless man implies that there has been a misunderstanding, hinting at hidden intentions behind his words. The muscular man crosses his arms and demands to know the reason, while the young man listens silently, caught in the weight of the question. The character is surrounded by an intense, rising force as a powerful event begins to unfold. The young man challenges his opponent with a cold, provocative question, testing their resolve in a tense moment. The man clenches his jaw tightly, his intense blue eyes revealing a storm of unresolved anger and determination beneath his stern expression. A man questions the others about having a plan to deal with their enemy, and wonders if they found a way to eliminate the fighting arena, hinting at a secret strategy that could change everything. The guy smirks while holding a cigarette, mocking someone for making a foolish mistake that harms only themselves. Reiji stands firm as others react with surprise to the fact that he is the first in the entire school to openly refuse the fighting arena. The voice explains that anyone with arms and legs can fight in the Six Gates High's arena, where everyone is equal in violence, while a hand casually lights a cigarette near burning flames. The character reflects with skepticism about others boasting as if something is great, hinting at hidden doubt or criticism. The young man provocatively suggests reconsidering the situation, hinting at hidden layers beyond the obvious. The narrator warns that many spectators are cowards who enjoy watching fights but never participate themselves, emphasizing that a loser's mindset remains unchanged no matter what. Two guys mockingly discuss how some students never get into fights and hide behind rules to have an easy time at school, hinting at their disdain for those who avoid conflict. A man smirks while holding a cigarette and warns that the transfer student Lee Gil-soo, who revealed something foolishly, will face consequences if he challenges the rule-hiding losers to a fight now. The young man grimly predicts that others will feel forced to fight at any cost to avoid ending up like Lee Gil-soo. The character confirms something with a single word, emphasizing agreement or certainty in the conversation. The man with long black hair speaks with a confident and somewhat menacing tone to the three attentive listeners around the fire, suggesting a plan or challenge that hints at imminent danger or conflict. The speaker declares that the brutal fighting arena has become their new domain, hinting at a fierce struggle for dominance ahead. The man narrows his eyes with a fierce grin, revealing a dangerous mix of confidence and impending threat in his gaze. The man with maroon hair questions the tense, shirtless young man about whether there is a problem, implying a challenge beneath his calm words. The man, his eyes sharp and tense, asserts that he does not believe he has broken any rules, his expression carrying the weight of unspoken defiance. A sudden sharp sound breaks the silence, signaling an abrupt and possibly dangerous event. The muscular man warns the younger, vulnerable guy not to waste energy on empty bravado, hinting at unseen dangers ahead. The young man apologizes for causing a commotion with a sly smile, hinting at a deeper intention behind his words. The character admits to Chung that they will act more cautiously in the future, hinting at a previous mistake with potential consequences. The man with maroon hair narrows his eyes as he senses a hidden threat behind him, while the figure in the background stands silently, casting a cold, unreadable shadow over the tense moment. Impacts explode rapidly in the air as a fierce and chaotic confrontation erupts nearby, warning of imminent danger. A muscular fighter launches a brutal and relentless assault on a bleeding young man in a school uniform who struggles to withstand the overwhelming pain and fear consuming him, feeling his life slipping away. The young man steps firmly, signaling the start of something significant or a sudden move about to unfold. The muscular man attacks fiercely while the young man urgently defends himself, stunned by the sudden assault. The young man braces himself against a punch, thinking he is no longer as frightened as before despite the danger closing in. Kazuki taunts his opponent by noting that he seems to be getting used to the punches, hinting at a tough battle ahead. The young man charges fiercely with a shout, but the muscular fighter reacts with sharp surprise, sensing the danger in an instant. The young man realizes that to win he must strike his opponent, who is aggressively rushing at him with clenched fists. The fighter charges at the muscular man with a fierce shout, unleashing a rapid barrage of punches that blur with speed and force. The fighter screams fiercely as a powerful punch snaps against his neck, signaling a sudden and brutal turn in the battle. The eruption of the shout commands silence, revealing a tense moment charged with unspoken threats. A loud, urgent scream pierces the calm of the rooftop, hinting at an unexpected crisis unfolding above. Kazuki scolds the guy for making strange sounds while attacking and calls him a loser, while the young man coughs harshly, realizing that the hit was much stronger than usual. The character explains the basic two-step move, hinting at an important technique to come. The young man, bruised and confused, looks back at the figure approaching him, silently questioning the sudden encounter. The man confidently claims that mastering a simple 1-2 technique guarantees victory in any fight, hinting at his experience and perhaps underestimating his opponent's potential. The deserted arcade club sign covered in spiderwebs hints at a long abandonment and a mystery waiting to be uncovered. The guy notes the building is very old and questions why they have come to this place, hinting at hidden reasons behind their visit. An intense shout breaks the silence, signaling the sudden eruption of conflict or urgent warning. Reiji enters cautiously, gripping the door handle as he faces the imposing bald figure blocking his path, sensing an unspoken threat. The muscular bald man stands rigid and unfazed, his stern expression reflecting a quiet confidence before an imminent confrontation. The character questions if the opponent is truly a punching machine, hinting at doubt and the challenge ahead. The man with long maroon hair demonstrates a defensive boxing stance by raising both fists to his chin and advising to tuck the chin in. The muscular man advises the young man to move lightly on his feet, while the latter looks confused and hesitant. The speaker instructs to throw the move called the one, lightly using the front hand, hinting at a precise technique that might test the fighter's control and skill. The man unexpectedly pinches the bald man's ear, provoking a silent but tense confrontation. The muscular man explains a technique involving putting weight into a move and rotating the hips, hinting at a precise physical skill. The warrior delivers a powerful, blazing punch to his opponent's face, shattering the moment with explosive force and raw determination. The scoreboard lights up, signaling that the first point has been scored, marking the tense beginning of a pivotal contest. The young man reacts with shock to the sound that seemed as loud and violent as a gunshot, while the muscular fighter prepares to strike with intense focus. The young man braces himself with determination, signaling that it's his moment to act while tension tightens around him. The young man strikes lightly as he recalls the technique's first step, preparing to unleash full power next. The powerful strike hits the bald man with such force that it splinters the air around him, signaling a critical blow in the heat of battle. Reiji strikes forward with a powerful punch aimed at the opponent's torso, demonstrating speed and determination despite the looming danger. The young man clenches his fists with determination, thinking he is starting to get the hang of it. The young man reacts with surprise, realizing that the score remains unchanged. Kazuki dismisses the weak punches as useless, then delivers a powerful blow that crashes down on his opponent with overwhelming force, while Reiji watches tensely nearby. The character explains that the machine has been broken for a long time and only responds to a precise impact. The scoreboard displays a low score of 2 points, hinting at an intense and challenging contest where every move counts. Reiji listens carefully as someone explains that he must hit hard enough for the machine to register the punch to prove he can deal damage to his opponent. Kazuki warns the other man not to show up in front of him until he reaches the perfect score, his tone laced with challenge and confidence. The guy receives a message from Jaiye ending their relationship and questions himself if he did something wrong. The young man looks at his phone in frustration, wondering why she is acting differently since they hung out yesterday. The young man apologizes nervously for not noticing the other person standing close by. The blonde guy swiftly stops the other's advance by catching his arm and tripping him, turning the tide unexpectedly. A yellow device crashes violently onto the ground, shattering on impact and signaling a sudden escalation. The blonde guy mocks the young man by pretending to apologize for bumping into him, while his companion watches with a fierce expression. The guy on the floor accuses the standing man of acting deliberately, while the latter denies it and questions the strange expression on the other's face, hinting at deeper tension between them. The aggressive guy proposes to settle their conflict in the arena, catching the other young man off guard with a tense and sudden challenge. The young man, sweating and anxious, confides in another that he's worried about the consequences of their next move. The young man confesses with guilt in his voice and sweat on his face that the blame lies with him. 3 young men in school uniforms glance nervously over their shoulders, sensing an approaching threat or an unexpected danger in the hallway. The young man smirks and clarifies that what happened wasn't school violence, but just a mistake where he accidentally bumped into someone, hinting at a hidden arrogance or cunning behind his words. The guy with the bandage readies his fist while watching another young man kneel in front of him, as the footsteps of a third person echo ominously nearby. The guy angrily accuses someone of acting deliberately and insists they should involve the student guidance council, while supporting an injured comrade. Reiji puts an arm around the other guy to stop him, suggesting to just leave the matter alone, showing a mix of concern and caution. The character downplays the situation, insisting it is not worth making a huge deal out of it. A confident young man leads a group of intimidating peers down a crowded hallway, their expressions daring anyone to challenge their authority, while others step back uneasily. The young man narrows his eyes with a determined glare, concealing the weight of a recent injury as he silently prepares for the conflict ahead. Reiji devours his food with desperate hunger, admitting to himself that no matter how much he eats, his appetite remains unfulfilled after punching the machine all break. The young man with a bruised face and a bandage struggles with frustration as he wonders how much harder he must keep hitting to change the outcome. The young man with a bandage on his cheek is warned to be careful as he eats, his alert expression hinting at an underlying tension. Someone quickly apologizes, expressing regret for an unexpected mistake. The young man violently dumps a tray of food onto another's head, showing clear aggression and dominance in a moment charged with humiliation and conflict. The young man clenches his teeth as food is spilled over him, while someone questions his frequent disappearances during breaks. The guy violently slaps the shocked young man covered in dirt, expressing that he missed him fiercely despite his harsh words. The fighter slams his hands down with force, expressing that it's good to see the other person again after a long time with a mocking laugh. The speaker asks if Gilsu shares the same feeling, hinting at a shared concern or suspicion. The guy with glowing eyes and a tattooed arm raises his hand with a sinister smile, asserting dominance as another man barely visible in the foreground bears stains on his shirt, hinting at recent conflict or defeat. The young man reveals a sinister smile, his eyes glowing intensely as if hiding a dangerous secret. The group mocks Yongho for apologizing after pushing someone, noting with amused acknowledgement that he is gradually learning the unspoken rules of their school. The man reveals a plan to confront Gilsu in the arena, and warns that they will teach him a harsh lesson for crossing them. The speaker assures Inhai that he will take care of the problem and warns him not to involve himself with dragging out a worthless enemy, hinting at a dangerous and ruthless situation. The tattooed man crosses his arms with a confident smirk, questioning the other guy's plan with a sharp challenge. The speaker urges someone to trust them, hinting at a crucial moment where faith might outweigh doubt. The young man smirks quietly, his gaze sharp and calculating as if plotting something unseen. A sharp sound echoes abruptly, signaling the start of an unexpected confrontation or a critical moment. The injured young man tightly grabs the arm of the taller guy, showing determination despite his wounds, while the taller one remains calm, observing him closely as if weighing the gravity of the situation. The blond man taunts the young man covered in sauce about resisting him, while mocking his anger as something cute. The character is overwhelmed by uncertainty, questioning his next move as tension builds in the silence. Reiji clenches his teeth in silent fury as the mess dripping down his face and bandages mark the harsh cost of his fight, his eyes burning with a mix of pain and unyielding resolve. Kazuki declares that he's banned from the arena until he finishes his training, his raised fist and fierce expression signaling his readiness for the challenge. The clenched fist, covered in dirt and bruises, trembles with barely contained tension and silent fury. The character insists loudly that they do not want to be bothered because they are eating. A tray full of food flies through the air toward a shocked young man who is startled by the sudden chaos. The guy's shocked face freezes as a container of spilled food splashes directly onto him. A loud, sharp sound suddenly breaks the silence, signaling that something impactful has just happened. The guy warns that disturbing someone while they're focused is dangerous, implying a tense situation brewing. The character demands to know the identity of the person responsible, his anger sharp and unyielding. Reiji gasps in shock while another guy covers his face in pain, signaling that something unexpected and distressing just happened. The young man, bruised and with a bandage on his cheek, moves forward with determined urgency, showing readiness to confront whatever comes next. A spilled meal on the floor hints at a disturbed moment that someone warns should never happen while a dog is eating. A character harshly demands another to stop causing trouble, revealing tension and frustration in their confrontation. The young man storms forward, his eyes burning with determination despite the bloodstains and the bandage on his face, showing he is ready to face whatever danger lies ahead without backing down. The young man, drenched in a messy substance and visibly distressed, shouts accusingly at someone, demanding if they have lost their mind and threatening their life. The guy with black hair calmly tells the other that this situation is not school violence, causing the tattooed man to react in shock and disbelief. The character tries to downplay a mistake with a nervous laugh, suggesting his hand slipped unexpectedly. The fighter grits his teeth in pain and frustration, gripping his head while silently cursing his opponent. The young man tells his opponent that he wanted to fight him anyway and considers the situation good. The guy covered in stains fiercely tells Reiji to come to the fighting arena today and promises to teach him a lesson. Water rushes forcefully from the faucet, splashing as a hand tightly presses against the sink. The young man apologizes with regret for causing trouble to the other, who calmly denies any blame and insists his actions were independent. The young man explains he never intended to fight for the other despite appearances and reveals he has long wanted to teach Kang and Hai's gang a lesson, while the other guy reacts with surprise and confusion. The character expresses frustration about others misbehaving in the fighting arena, revealing a tension that hints at potential conflict or rule-breaking consequences. The young man asks himself if someone is acting up, his face showing surprise mixed with concern. The guy asks if something happened, and the young man sitting on the bench explains that it's because he hasn't been there in a while, hinting at a significant change or event. The young man explains that those people have been deliberately targeting the weak in the fighting arena, accusing them of harboring irrational negative emotions that provoke sudden attacks. The young man explains that their fear will be exploited because he refused to fight in the arena, and then he curses in frustration. The young man reflects that it was fortunate he never had to fight them, but he feels uneasy watching the fighting arena fall into chaos. The young man questions the fighter about his true motive for wanting to protect the fighting arena, while the fighter responds with confusion, sensing there is more beneath the surface. The young man suggests that strength makes the existence of the fighting arena irrelevant, and the main character questions if there is a deeper reason behind this statement. He reflects on having experienced a dark period similar to the one the other person is going through. The guy removes the cap from a mysterious bottle and laughs while questioning what it could be. The young man taunts Reiji with a cruel joke about a drink he made for him, while his companions smirk in the background, intensifying the threat looming over the tense, vulnerable figure. An unseen character commands to open the mouth, mocking with laughter that hints at a looming threat. The young man is humiliated and struggling against restraints while wearing a mocking bra labeled to ridicule him. The young man pleads for the others to stop, his voice trembling with fear and desperation. A man taunts and forcefully pushes another against a wall while sarcastically presenting a drink he calls a disgusting latte and demanding a review. The young man tightly grips the handle of a weapon, preparing for an imminent confrontation. The young man angrily tells the others to be nicer to their friend while holding a bottle, his tension and frustration visible under the streetlights. The night sky is filled with stars above the silhouette of a rooftop and tree branches, setting a calm but mysterious atmosphere. The injured young man nervously thanks the other person and admits he doesn't know who he is, hinting at a tension-filled encounter with unknown stakes. The man receives a paper from an unseen hand and questions the unexpected gesture with visible confusion. Someone asks if the other person wants to do diet boxing, hinting at a challenge disguised as a fitness proposal. The guy firmly offers a boxing flyer, emphasizing that losing weight requires action in the ring rather than just talking or thinking. The man looks cautiously at a paper and questions himself about boxing, hinting at uncertainty or a challenge he might be facing. The young man lands precise kicks on the trainer's pads, while the trainer encourages him with approval, signaling progress and determination. A man in a blue hoodie strikes another man on the ground with a heavy object, causing him to grimace in pain and shield his head. The young man throws a powerful punch at the punching bag with gritted teeth, while his coach watches with arms crossed, silently judging his effort. The young man jumps rope with focused rhythm, the sharp sound of the rope cutting through the air marking his steady determination. The young man pushes through exhaustion, sweat dripping down his face as he continues to jump rope with tense determination. The young man crashes to the floor in pain, gasping as if he has been struck hard. A desperate young man pleads to be heard and admits his mistake while his shaken friends watch cautiously. The young man raises his fists in a defensive stance, his determined gaze revealing a readiness to confront an unseen threat. The young man reveals that the gangsters he faced were powerless, causing the other guy to realize with surprise that Do-il was once bullied. The character reflects that although the rules of the fighting arena created by Zhang Chung are a bit excessive, there is an underlying reason behind them. The young man praises the other for fighting with his own strength, without fear of being overwhelmed by numbers. The guy with a bandage on his cheek declares his fierce determination to destroy Park Yong-ho and protect what he holds dear. The sudden roar fills the air as a flock of birds bursts into flight, signaling an unexpected disturbance. The tension in the arena rises as the two shirtless fighters stand face to face, ready to clash while the referee watches silently, the crowd's roar echoing behind them. The muscular fighter mocks the main character for daring to challenge him, warning that provoking him was a foolish choice and implying a harsh consequence is coming. The young man challenges his opponent by questioning if he's here to argue, then orders him to stop talking and begin the fight. The man taunts his opponent by acknowledging his eagerness to fight, hinting at a challenge about to unfold. The young man clenches his fists with tense determination, while the crowd behind him cheers him on, wishing Do-il good luck despite the evident pressure building around him. The shouts of challenge break the silence as the two fighters dash at each other with fierce determination. The shirtless young man clenches his fists and braces himself, ready to face an imminent fight that could change everything. The shoe slams down with a sharp, decisive sound, signaling the start of something urgent or dangerous. The muscular fighter delivers a powerful punch to the main character's head, forcing him to defend against the deadly blow. The young man clenches his fist with a confident and slightly menacing smile, hinting at a dangerous determination beneath his calm exterior. The young man swiftly dodges a powerful punch, his focused gaze calculating the next move despite a fresh wound on his cheek. Reiji delivers a powerful punch to the tattooed fighter's face, catching him completely off guard and leaving him stunned. The crowd reacts with surprise and admiration to Jin Do-il's impressive speed and quick reactions, indicating his exceptional abilities. The young man presses his fist against a bleeding wound on his shoulder, determination flickering in his eyes despite the pain. The young man raises his fists in a guarded stance, his focused expression revealing his readiness for an imminent fight. The young man rushes forward with explosive speed, his feet pounding the ground as if chasing something crucial. The young man delivers a rapid flurry of punches toward the blonde fighter who calmly defends, their clash charged with tense energy and unyielding resolve. The fighter clenches his fists in front of his face, enduring a relentless assault while internalizing the harsh criticism that he is weak as hell. The fighter with the dragon tattoo throws a fierce punch with a confident smirk, while his opponent narrowly blocks it, eyes sharp and focused on the dangerous strike. The shirtless young man dodges a powerful punch from Reiji, whose focused expression hints at the pressure of the fight and the risk of a single mistake. The young man raises his fist defensively, his wide eyes betraying a sudden shock as he faces an imminent attack. The young man delivers a powerful punch to his opponent's face, causing a violent spray of blood and a shocked reaction. The fighter raises his fists with a confident smirk despite the fresh wound on his cheek, ready for the next strike. A shirtless fighter with a fierce tattoo on his arm is hit in the head, blood splattering as he screams in pain and shock, the moment signaling a brutal turn in the fight. The young man reacts with shock as the crowd around him erupts in cheers, signaling a sudden and unexpected turn of events. The young man watches intently, realizing the fighter's overwhelming strength as Park Yong-ho fails to land a single hit, while the crowd erupts in excitement. The character asks if Jin Do-il has always been this strong, hinting at unexpected power that could shift the balance of the coming conflict. The guy with short hair confidently predicts the end of Park Yong-ho's winning streak, while the young man with a bowl haircut gestures in agreement, and the main character watches them with a sharp, observant gaze. The young man glances back with a sweat drop of disbelief, while realizing that Park Yong-ho remains undefeated. A revelation that stirs tension and raises the stakes in the unfolding conflict. The young man blocks a powerful punch from his furious opponent, then counters with a confident smile, showing he's ready to turn the tide despite the bruises. The young man grits his teeth fiercely, his eyes bloodshot and determined despite the bruises and scratches marking his face, revealing a desperate will to endure the pain and fight on. The shirtless young man taunts his opponent about the failure of his jabs and wide attacks, while landing a powerful punch. The fighter delivers a powerful punch to the young man's face, warning him that his lesser hits need to connect. The shirtless young man fiercely declares that it's time for the bigger fighters to take action and delivers a powerful punch that sends his tattooed opponent crashing to the ground with a brutal impact. The speaker challenges the opponent with disbelief and disdain, questioning if that's all they have after all their talk. The shirtless young man mocks his opponent's weakness and questions why he keeps provoking fights despite it, his confident stance contrasting sharply with the other's trembling hand. The speaker harshly warns someone to stop interfering with the fighting arena and leave immediately. The fighter struggles to catch his breath, sweat and bruises marking his exhausted body as he pushes himself to stay upright in the ring. The young man grits his teeth through the pain and fatigue, his strained breath visible as he struggles to stay conscious. The muscular fighter with a dragon tattoo glares up at the calm man standing above the crowd, who conveys with his stance that he's challenging the whole arena, hinting at an intense confrontation to come. The young man looks down with a cold, unsettling expression, as if realizing something dangerous is approaching from below. The man clenches his jaw in silent frustration, hinting at a brewing inner turmoil. The character admits reluctantly that the other is better at boxing, hinting at a grudging respect beneath the tension. The fighter clenches his fists and bends forward, showing a surge of fierce determination before the battle intensifies. The young man stands shirtless with his back turned, silently questioning the situation with a hint of confusion. The young man grips the railing tightly, his expression tense and confused as he reacts to an unexpected situation unfolding before him. The young man steps down with force, water splashing from beneath his shoe as tension builds in anticipation of what comes next. The young man tenses up with fists raised, suddenly alert as if sensing an approaching threat. The fighter raises his fist and lifts his knee in a poised attack stance, radiating fierce determination as onlookers watch intently from the background. The young man clenches his fist tightly, his fierce gaze revealing determination despite the scars marking his face, while he warns of the dangers ahead. Reiji and the young men around him peer anxiously over the railing, their tense expressions revealing surprise and concern as the crowd's murmur swells ominously. The young man leaps into the air with a swift, precise motion, the pounding energy in his step hinting at a decisive moment about to unfold. The fighter raises his fist and lifts his knee defensively, his intense gaze showing readiness for a fierce battle while the crowd watches in stunned silence. The young man clenches his fist with determination, showing bruises and cuts that hint at recent struggle while preparing to face an imminent challenge. The young man notices the opponent's stance and wonders if he intends to use a kick, sensing a subtle threat in the upcoming move. The guy apologizes quietly as he rushes forward with urgency, the impact of his step shaking the ground and hinting at the gravity behind his words. The young man defies expectations by asserting he can kick as well, delivering a powerful strike that piques the tension of the fight. The exclamation bubble with intertwined question and exclamation marks captures sudden shock and confusion, foreshadowing an unexpected twist or revelation in the scene. The guy recoils with shock and disbelief as he struggles to comprehend the sudden, unexpected development unfolding before him. The tension rises as two figures stand close, their proximity hinting at an imminent confrontation or revelation. The young man blocks an incoming strike and decides to create some space between himself and his opponent, anticipating the next move. The shirtless fighter with blonde hair taunts Reiji as he charges forward aggressively, catching him off guard with his sudden attack. The main character observes the opponent kicking again and considers that he could block it with his arm, preparing for the incoming attack. The guy narrowly blocks a fast, deadly strike with his forearms, surprise and urgency flashing in his eyes. The muscular fighter delivers a powerful, tattooed arm kick that sends his opponent crashing to the ground, shaking the intensity of the fight. The guy grimaces in pain, realizing that despite blocking the attack, the power was so overwhelming that it still caused serious damage. The muscular fighter delivers a fierce kick to the young man's crossed arms, forcing a desperate defense that hints at the high stakes of their brutal encounter. The young man clenches his fist as the transparent image of his forearm bones appears, hinting at a hidden power or internal struggle beneath his calm exterior. The young man shouts a name with desperate urgency, his eyes wide with shock, while the surrounding crowd reacts with a mix of surprise and concern. The shirtless fighter dashes fiercely forward with a barrage of kicks aimed to overwhelm his opponent. The fighter provokes his opponent to attack him like before, mocking him by asking if he is scared. The fighter clenches his fists and internally admits that his opponent's kicks are far stronger than his punches, realizing the dangerous gap in their skills. The young man braces for the incoming kick, realizing the danger of being struck once more. The young man winces in shock and confusion as an unexpected force hits him with explosive impact. The young man relentlessly delivers powerful punches at his opponent, showcasing fierce determination as the clash intensifies. The young man, energized by his own momentum, boasts that his punches are finally hitting their mark while landing a rapid flurry of blows. The fighter admits to himself that his anxiety about the opponent's kicks is disrupting his ability to respond effectively. The speaker questions if he was warned not to disrupt the fighting arena, hinting at underlying tension and a brewing conflict. The tattooed fighter aggressively raises his fists, ready to strike the young man with black hair who braces himself for the incoming attack. The speaker sharply challenges someone's authority, questioning their identity with disbelief and confrontation. The blonde fighter delivers a powerful kick to the dark-haired young man's abdomen, forcing him to brace himself against the sudden pain. A shirtless fighter, struggling to stay on his feet, angrily dismisses his opponent's words as foolish while admitting his legs have given out. The speaker utters a sharp farewell, signaling an irreversible departure that hints at consequences to come. The young man with maroon hair launches a powerful kick towards the black-haired figure, his expression fierce and determined, while the latter braces for impact, tension rising between them. A character harshly insults another, calling him a scholar bastard, setting a confrontational tone charged with hostility. The fighter's wide eyes reveal shock and pain as a powerful blow lands, the impact undeniable despite his battered face. The sudden loud impact echoes through the room, casting scattered shadows and shattering the tense silence. The young man clenches his eyes tightly, sweat and dirt marking his strained face as he struggles to endure an unseen torment. The young man in the armband commands the fight to stop, causing surprise and confusion among the fighters. The third-year student council member, Heo Gyunheng, warns that continuing to attack an opponent who is no longer able to fight will be considered a foul. The muscular fighter mocks the man in the shirt for trying to stop him so soon after the fight began, hinting at his confidence and readiness to continue despite the opponent's hesitation. The shirtless fighter suggests that some missing kids might be present here, while the onlookers, including a young man in a green and white jacket, react with surprise and tension. The young man smirks with a weary defiance, revealing scars that hint at a brutal past and a dangerous resolve. The young man looks tense and worried, a bead of sweat betraying his calm facade as he braces for what's coming. The injured guy admits that the pain is less bothersome than losing, while he complains about empowering the troublemakers in the fighting arena. The young man tells the injured fighter that he was winning at first, but everything changed because of the opponent's kicks, hinting at a sudden and costly turn in the fight. The guy admits that his opponent's kicks were unexpectedly powerful, hinting at a surprising twist in their confrontation. The young man freezes in shock, his battered face and wide eyes revealing sudden realization amidst chaos. Reiji looks downward with a painful expression, feeling the weight of his recent struggles marked by the fresh wound on his cheek. The young man offers water to the other, thanking him for his support and noticing his tiredness. But the guy quickly declines, saying he has somewhere else to go. The man questions the other about going somewhere at such a late hour, and the young man hesitantly confirms before quickly saying goodbye. The young man looks up confused, silently questioning what just happened. The man wonders aloud about the purpose behind the young man's urgent and hurried escape. The sign marks the entrance to room 1-3, setting the stage for what might unfold inside. A hand holds out a pair of worn sneakers while a voice questions the purpose of bringing something so useless. The character hesitantly points out that the gang still accepted them, hinting at underlying tension and unspoken doubts. The young man laughs nervously while explaining that they wanted to show their appreciation, making the group's uneasy atmosphere palpable. The young man tells the others that he values talent over appreciation, and the voice from the side insists that if it's talent, then everything will be fine for Inhai, hinting at high expectations and underlying tension. The man gives a sharp warning to do his best from now on, hinting at a serious challenge ahead. The young man informs Inhei that Lee Gilsoo did not come to school today, hinting at an unusual absence that raises concern. The speaker questions the other person about the significance of Lee Gilsoo, hinting at underlying tension or a secret yet to be revealed. The young man with black hair steps forward determinedly while another suggests that it's time to beat someone up, hinting at an imminent confrontation. The guy firmly holds the other's shoulder and tells him that the situation improved because of his actions, hinting at a shift in power or fortune. The young man notices something unexpected, his expression shifting as if he just heard troubling news that could change everything. The guy deliberately trips the other, signaling a sudden challenge or confrontation. The character declares that by defeating Jin Do-il, they have firmly established their strength. The group discusses how those who underestimated their opponent are now frightened, agreeing that attacking someone like Lee Gilsoo would damage their own reputation. The young man asks what their next step should be, showing uncertainty about the immediate future. The guy with a bandage on his face suggests spreading flyers around the fighting arena to recruit new members, while his companions listen with varying expressions of concern and curiosity. The young man confidently explains that since they defeated the first years as planned, their strategy is unfolding without a hitch. The character announces that it is time to advance to the next stage, signaling a shift that promises new challenges and developments. A group of tough-looking guys, one smoking and holding a phone, stare defiantly at the newcomer, signaling a clear challenge and tension in the air that promises a confrontation. The muscular man with a cigarette in hand demands to know the identity of his challengers, his voice dripping with confrontation and wary dominance. The dark-haired young man addresses the seniors with a confident but somewhat provocative tone, stating that they came specifically to meet them, while the three guys behind him look tense and uneasy. The man sneers at the newcomers, dismissing them as insignificant and warning them that they are out of place. A young man admits they must seem insignificant to the legendary group he is addressing, acknowledging their fearsome reputation linked to his brother. The man reacts with shock and disbelief upon realizing that the person he sees is the younger brother of someone he refers to as a notorious figure. The young man taunts his opponent for retreating and hiding like an old person after being pushed aside by Zhang Chung, implying weakness and lost honor. The muscular man angrily grabs the young man's collar and shouts at him, accusing him of arrogance and daring behavior. The muscular man expresses his disappointment and confesses that since then, his fight has felt unbearably lonely, while the young man with black hair looks up in confused silence. The man reveals with a confident and somewhat sinister smile that the situation has changed and it is no longer the same. The young man clenches his fist tightly, showing sudden realization or shock as he reacts to an unseen trigger. A man with a stern expression warns that allowing rule-breaking by the first years will undermine the very foundation of the fighting arena, insisting that their immature behavior can no longer be tolerated. The man reveals that the person they are discussing is the notorious Kang Hanhai's younger brother, hinting at danger tied to his family name. A young man insists that rules must be followed despite abuses, while the muscular fighter challenges him by questioning if he expects them to stand by and do nothing. The character contemplates that even if he intervenes and resolves the situation, there may be consequences beyond his control. The muscular guy wonders aloud if the fighting arena will remain unchanged, hinting at anticipation and uncertainty about what lies ahead. The young man remains silent, his uneasy glance betraying a growing tension that hangs heavy in the fading light. The young man reacts with surprise as his phone suddenly rings, disrupting the calm moment. The guy's phone rings with an incoming call from Lee Gilsoo, hinting at an important or potentially tense conversation about to unfold. The scene reveals the quiet exterior of a building marked as the gaming club, hinting at a place where hidden battles of skill and strategy might unfold within. Reiji sits shirtless on the ground, exhausted and tense, while a distant voice reminds him that he was told not to make contact until he has earned some points, hinting at harsh conditions and high stakes ahead. The young man narrows his eyes, his expression revealing a mix of concern and determination as he contemplates a difficult decision. The young man narrows his eyes in sudden alertness, sensing an unexpected threat nearby. The shirtless young man, exhausted and drenched in sweat, sits on the floor before the battered punching machine, the blood-stained dummy signaling the brutal toll of his relentless effort. The scoreboard flashes a perfect deadly score, while the bloodied head below hints at a brutal cost behind the victory. The character demands to be taught, signaling a crucial turning point filled with urgency and determination. The guy stares ahead with a tense expression, as if bracing himself for an impending challenge or revelation. The young man wipes blood off his hand with a tense grin, signaling that the next challenge is about to begin. The guy sprints down the street with rapid footsteps, urgency driving his every move as the city blurs around him. The young man with bruises and bandages looks up thoughtfully, as if processing difficult news or preparing for a tough decision ahead. The young man breaks into a sprint down the sidewalk, urgency driving his every step as if he's fleeing from an unseen threat. The young man smirks with a mix of pain and defiance, his eyes hiding a dark resolve beneath the bruises and scars covering his face. The young man sprints forward with fierce determination, his clenched fist and intense expression revealing a desperate urgency behind his fast pace. A fist slams down with explosive force, signaling the eruption of a fierce confrontation. The fighter throws a fierce punch, desperate to turn the tide against his stronger opponent who remains unmoved. Reiji grits his teeth and braces himself with a clenched fist, his body tense and drenched in sweat as he prepares for a desperate, possibly life-changing action. The bald fighter endures a powerful onslaught, his face contorting from the force of relentless blows as the scoreboard blazes with an almost impossible total. The young man explains that only a punch hard enough to register on the machine will prove the ability to damage an opponent and advises to find one's own form. The young man swiftly steps forward, the force of his movement creating sparks on the ground and signaling the start of an intense encounter. The young man lunges forward with a clenched fist, ready to strike the punching machine ahead as if testing his own strength against an invisible opponent. Reiji lashes out with a brutal punch, his clenched fist smashing into the opponent's head with devastating force, the violent impact marked by a sharp sound that signals a costly strike. A digital counter reaches the number 3, hinting at a critical moment counting down or tallying points amid a tense or violent situation marked by splatters of blood. The sound of repeated thuds echoes through the night, hinting at an unseen tension behind the illuminated window barred for security. The young man delivers a powerful punch, breaking through the target while the scoreboard confirms he scored 20 points, hinting at his fierce determination and rising strength. The young man lands a fierce punch on his opponent, showing raw determination as the scoreboard flashes 134 points, hinting at the intense battle's stakes. The young man unleashes a furious barrage on the punching machine, shattering it as numerous scores flash, revealing his overwhelming strength and relentless determination. The young man's clenched fist is bruised and speckled with blood, bursting with a fierce determination that comes at a visible physical cost. A glowing digital timer displays 9.99, casting an ominous light over a blood-splattered surface, hinting at a fatal countdown or a broken system in a critical moment. The character demands to be taught, signaling a crucial turning point filled with determination and a silent plea for guidance. Reiji sits exhausted and bloodied, overwhelmed by the brutal training against the relentless mechanical opponent that bears the scars of his violent punches. The man's expression hardens as he contemplates a difficult decision, revealing the weight of unseen burdens pressing on him. The narration announces that the story is moving forward to the next lesson, hinting at new developments and challenges ahead. Reiji wipes the blood off his hand, sweat dripping down his face as he forces a tense smile, revealing a mix of pain and determination beneath his anxious gaze. The fighter smirks, admitting the opponent's speed surprised him, hinting at a challenge unfolding faster than anticipated. The injured young man insists he had no choice and cannot afford to waste time in that place, while the muscular man with long hair watches him with arms crossed, implying tension and unresolved conflict. The muscular man with maroon hair signals moving on to the next training and warns that it will be much harder, hinting at the challenges ahead. The muscular fighter reacts with surprise and caution as the shirtless young man suddenly strikes a powerful blow toward him, the tension of the moment hinting at the fierce struggle unfolding between them. The man smiles with a calm yet calculating expression, hinting at hidden intentions behind his words. The character explains that rest is an essential part of training, implying a strategic balance between effort and recovery. The guy gasps desperately for air, sweat dripping down his face, revealing his struggle to survive. A character mocks the opponent's effort, questioning if that is all they have to offer. The fighter stands shirtless in the ring with a dragon tattoo glaring over the crowd of tense onlookers, whose anticipation hints at a battle about to ignite. The guy standing confident in the ring mocks the small crowd and implies their fear is keeping them away. The voice challenges the fear, questioning who is really afraid in this tense moment. A shirtless, muscular man with a tattoo notices someone approaching as a sneakered foot abruptly lands nearby, signaling a tense confrontation about to unfold. The speaker decides to teach a disrespectful first year a harsh lesson, hinting at an impending confrontation. Choi Seokwan scratches his head with a confident smirk, revealing his status as a second-year student council member amidst curious onlookers. The young man reacts with shock and disbelief upon hearing about the involvement of the student council, sweat trickling down his face as he processes this unexpected information. The muscular man expresses his long-standing hatred for the dragon tattoo on the young fighter's arm and asserts that this alone justifies their fight. The man harshly tells his opponent that he has been starting fights for foolish reasons all this time, exposing a dangerous recklessness beneath his aggression. The shirtless fighter with a detailed dragon tattoo stands tense in the ring while the young man in the background, arms crossed and serious, contemplates the looming battle ahead, aware that any mistake could be costly. The young man declares with a determined glare that they can no longer remain passive and insists on exacting justice in equal measure for the wrongs done. The young man notices a slightly opened door letting in a narrow stream of light, hinting at an unexpected opportunity or hidden danger beyond. The young man steps inside casually, asking what is causing the tense atmosphere. The character explains that he came to visit because he heard rumors about the fighting arena being fun these days. The young man reacts with shock and disbelief, sweat tracing tension down his face as he processes unexpected news. The character questions the unusual situation of a second-year student, challenging a first-year, hinting at an unexpected power dynamic. The leader with a fierce grin asks if they should intensify the situation as his group confidently advances through the door, hinting at an upcoming confrontation. The man slams his fist and demands fiercely who dared to come here, his anger radiating a warning of consequences. The character declares that he came to the fighting arena with the clear intention to fight. The muscular man confidently reveals that he also attends Six Gates High School, drawing attention from the two men behind him who watch with subtle interest. The muscular man demands silence and confronts the other, accusing him of causing a previous incident and questioning if he came to the fighting arena to challenge him. The man provocatively suggests forgetting the past and enjoying the moment with the student council, hiding a possible threat behind his insincere smile. The guy questions why the others are acting so stiff, provoking a surprised reaction from the group surrounding him. The character welcomes the arrival of new people due to a decrease in the number of others present, implying a change in the usual environment. The man leans forward with a sly smile, suggesting someone should agree with his point. The young man confronts someone named Kang In-hye with tension and disbelief, his expression revealing a mix of fear and determination. The young man mocks his opponent by questioning if he is really scared. The sign boldly announces the start of reconstruction, hinting at a pivotal transformation about to reshape everything. Reiji wonders what kind of training the man is doing in such an obscure place, his gaze fixed on the quiet construction site under the night sky. Reiji comments on the gloomy atmosphere, feeling as if a ghost might appear, while his anxious gaze scans the surroundings. The young man senses a trap, as the voice acknowledges that he has found his way properly, while the figure with maroon hair calls out his name with a mix of surprise and warning. Reiji anxiously wonders what kind of training this could be, his expression revealing uncertainty and concern. The muscular man asks the young man if he has heard about the Six Gates High School of the past, and the young man responds with confusion and surprise. The muscular man with maroon hair recounts how high schools in the Yungnung area once fought for the title of the strongest, revealing that Six Gates High School claimed an overwhelming victory. Reiji listens as someone explains that after Six Gates took over the area, the other schools retreated to their own territories, and he wonders what this has to do with today's training, hinting at his confusion and growing tension about the true purpose behind the lesson. The muscular man with maroon hair warns the young man with black hair that he is standing in dangerous territory controlled by a ruthless gang. The man with maroon hair warns that though school fights have stopped, any intrusion into another school's territory will be seen as a deliberate provocation. Reiji recoils in shock and fear upon witnessing an imminent, powerful impact violently shattering a metal fence, signaling a dangerous confrontation unfolding nearby. The voice tells the young man that the gate on the other side is open and challenges him to get out using his own power. The character claims that nothing can compare to the experience gained from a real fight, hinting at a readiness for confrontation. The young man grins cunningly behind the bars, his sharp eyes revealing a dangerous confidence that hints at a hidden plan or challenge ahead. The young man shouts to stop Kazuki, who turns away with clenched fists as tension surges between captivity and confrontation. Reiji clenches his fist in frustration against the fence, sweat betraying his rising anxiety as the tense night looms behind him. A dominant figure demands to know who is speaking so loudly in his territory, while the young man with bandaged fists braces himself for a confrontation. The young man reacts with surprise and confusion, struggling to understand what just happened. Someone comments with surprise upon seeing a particular person, hinting at an unexpected or significant encounter. The young man mounts a motorcycle, ready to accelerate into an uncertain confrontation. The young man mocks the Six Gates member, questioning his reputation with a sly grin as his companions laugh behind him. A character declares that they and their group are the strongest first years at Jinsang Technical High School, setting a bold and challenging tone. Reiji runs with a grim determination while a woman chases him fiercely, her anger evident, and a group on motorcycles follows closely behind, intensifying the threat around them. The group warns the young man that the situation has changed drastically from before, while the young man sarcastically expresses false happiness at their meeting, hinting at underlying tension. The man mocks the bravery of anyone coming alone and threatens them with deadly intent while gripping a weapon, revealing a dangerous resolve. The man mocks the young man for being scared and calls him an idiot for standing still despite the threat. The man with brass knuckles questions the young man gripping his hair tightly, showing suspicion and readiness for a sudden move. Someone notices that a character is mumbling something under their breath, hinting at possible hidden thoughts or plans. A man tightly grips Reiji's hair while warning him to speak carefully before facing a brutal beating. The young man, with fists raised and wrapped in bandages, instructs to keep his fists close to his chin and pull his chin back defensively. The guy advises that footsteps must be light, suggesting a need for caution or stealth in their approach. A character explains the technique of punching lightly with the upper hand on the count of 1, hinting at a precise and controlled approach. The fighter delivers a powerful punch to the opponent's chest, catching him off guard and leaving him stunned. The main character instructs to put his weight on the front leg while stepping forward confidently, demonstrating control despite the tense atmosphere around him. The young man clenches his fists tightly and braces himself, sweat showing his tension as he prepares to endure the impact. A powerful impact shakes the ground, signaling the arrival of a fierce confrontation. Reiji delivers a powerful downward strike that smashes into his opponent, signaling a sudden and decisive attack. The two bystanders react with shock and alarm to something unseen, while the man in black urgently calls out, his voice filled with warning and concern. Reiji tightly clenches his fists, prepared for combat as blood splatters from his fallen opponent's face, revealing the deadly consequences of the fight. The young man tightens his bloodied fists, ready to keep fighting despite the pain and exhaustion simmering beneath his fierce determination. The man gasps that he has lost as he struggles to breathe under a tight grip on his neck. A muscular man lifts another man by the neck while the latter desperately pleads for his life, surrounded by onlookers who watch the tense confrontation unfold. The guy mocks the fighting arena as entertaining and admits he would have come earlier if he knew. Then he sneers at the student council for being unexpectedly weak. A man warns another to not go too far, while the other responds with confusion as a foot kicks over the ring rope. The shirtless young man challenges his opponent by saying he should fight someone at his own level before boasting, hinting at a tense showdown about to unfold. The muscular man suggests to the other that they have a lot to settle between them, his expression hinting at a tense confrontation ahead. The speech bubble reveals a character's uncertainty about their next move, hinting at a looming dilemma or challenge. The fallen fighters lie in the ring while the survivors realize they are the only ones left standing. The young man looks around the empty space, noting that even the few remaining students have left, while his tense posture hints at a deeper conflict about to unfold. A muscular fighter yells at his defeated opponent to leave the ring immediately, while spectators watch silently, hinting at a ruthless break of the arena's rules and hidden threats for those involved. The young man smirks confidently as he approaches the group, hinting at a hidden agenda, while the others follow behind him with knowing smiles. The guy challenges his senior to arrange a proper fight outside the fighting arena, implying a desire for a more serious and significant confrontation. The speaker questions whether the empty fighting arena still needs protecting, implying a shift in responsibility or power. The man clenches his fist tightly, trembling with barely contained rage as he silently curses his opponent. The man with a confident and slightly menacing smile warns Gunheng and instructs him to relay a message to Jiang Chung, hinting at a serious and possibly dangerous consequence. The voice challenges the fight to move to a real battlefield, away from the current trivial setting, hinting at a deeper, more serious conflict to come. The young man clenches his teeth in fierce determination, his eyes burning with intense resolve as a heavy shadow falls over his face, hinting at the high stakes and inner turmoil he faces. A sudden impact echoes sharply, signaling a critical moment charged with tension. Someone calls out the name Sangchul urgently, hinting at a critical or tense moment unfolding. Reiji clenches his fists, standing ready in a tense fight, while his opponent is struck and blood splatters, signaling a dangerous turning point. The young man grits his teeth with bloody bandaged fists raised, determined to keep fighting despite the pain and fatigue. The character angrily confronts an intruder, warning him about fighting within their territory and making clear the severe consequences of crossing the line. The guy charges fiercely at the young man with wrapped fists, whose surprised reaction hints at an unexpected escalation of their fight. The man shouts a fierce threat and delivers a powerful strike to the young man's head, signaling a brutal attack with no mercy. Reiji reacts to a powerful punch landing on his face, caught off guard by the sudden strike. The young man admits that punches from enemies like the one before him don't cause him any pain, hinting at his hidden resilience or power. The young man delivers a powerful strike that forces his opponent to fall backward, groaning in pain, while a third person rushes toward the scene. The angry man clenches his fists and charges aggressively while demanding to know where the other thinks he is. Reiji lands a fierce punch to the man's face, shattering his defense and revealing the brutal cost of this fierce confrontation. The fighter strikes with a powerful blow that sends his opponent flying while a loud impact echoes, hinting at a fierce battle with high stakes. The young man, battered and sweating, internally questions the identity of a formidable opponent with a mixture of fear and disbelief. Reiji raises his injured fist to his chin, his gaze sharp and filled with determination, preparing for the next challenge despite the visible pain. The woman angrily confronts the young man about the reckless mistake he has made, while a badly hurt man lies unconscious nearby. The young man smirks with a hint of nervousness while warning that the approaching group means serious trouble. The leader of the group spots a kid from 6 gates and considers eliminating him immediately to prevent any threat. Reiji clenches his fist tightly and worries aloud about the overwhelming number of enemies approaching. The young man realizes fighting head-on is impossible and urgently contemplates a new strategy. The woman threatens her opponent with a brutal fight, while a shadowy group stands behind her, emphasizing the impending danger. Reiji abruptly stops his motorcycle, startled by something unexpected. The young man yells at someone to get down from a dangerous place, revealing a mix of shock and urgency. The fighter tightens his grip on the motorcycle throttle, resolving to use a tool since direct combat isn't an option. A group of men react with shock and confusion to a sudden loud sound, their expressions revealing that they did not expect what just happened. Reiji fiercely steers the speeding motorcycle, his grip tight and face strained with determination as he fights to maintain control amid the chaotic rush. Someone mocks a guy struggling to drive, saying it's adorable how poorly he handles it. A group of men mockingly jeer, and one points accusingly while expressing that watching is more embarrassing than participating. The fighter swiftly grabs the lever, a decisive move that might trigger an unexpected outcome. A man narrowly avoids being struck by a speeding motorcycle, while bystanders react in shock and fear, hinting at imminent danger and chaos. Reiji defies the group with a sharp remark, hinting he never intended to comply, and the others react with surprise and confusion. The young man angrily demands others to get out of his way and strikes forcefully, while someone nearby calls out Kei Kyung-suk's name in alarm. The character urgently commands others to catch a fleeing enemy, revealing a sudden crisis and rising tension. Reiji runs desperately with a clenched fist, sweat and fear visible on his face as shadowy figures close in behind him, hinting at a chase where every second counts. Reiji clenches his fist and thinks that he could win if he fought those enemies one-on-one, but he never imagined he would miss the fighting arena. The young man reacts with sudden shock, his wide eyes revealing a crucial realization that hints at an imminent danger. Reiji runs toward the entrance of an empty building under the night sky, urgency driving each step as if he's chasing time itself. The sound of quick footsteps echoes as the group presses forward with determination, the tension rising with every step. The young man grips the railing firmly and turns sharply, his tense posture showing he has just noticed something unexpected, along with the two others behind him. Reiji stands ready to fight at the top of the stairs and challenges his opponents to face him directly, daring them to stop hiding. The man in the white shirt mocks someone for hitting his head while running for his life, while the group surrounding him shares a confident, almost sinister energy. A man shouts that there is nowhere left to run, while three fighters ascend the stairs with clenched fists, closing in on their target. The guy clenches his fist and lands a powerful punch that hits the other man's face with explosive force, while shocked onlookers react behind him. The guy clenches his fists, glaring fiercely as he braces to defend himself against a double attack, while silently cursing his opponent's recklessness and underestimating his resolve. The man receives a powerful punch to the face, the force threatening to overwhelm him in an instant. The main character forcefully strikes multiple attackers in rapid succession on the stairs, overwhelming them before they can react. The young man confidently plans to use the narrow staircase and high ground advantage to fight his opponents one by one. The group of tough-looking guys notes their opponents have lost momentum and wonders if the main character's surprisingly strong punches mean he can fight, while he internally resolves that defeating them is his only way out. A swift movement propels a red object across the floor, hinting at an imminent clash or sudden action. The young man challenges his opponents to fight him so he can defeat them and leave, displaying a mix of eagerness and tension. Reiji is suddenly struck in the head with a flying bowl of noodles, the sharp impact leaving him stunned and disoriented. Reiji dodges a powerful flying kick, narrowly avoiding danger as the attacker's movement shatters the surroundings. The fighter's powerful strike sends the young man flying into the group behind him, shattering the tense calm and igniting a dangerous clash. The young man loses his balance and falls hard down the stairs while several others watch from above, their stance tense and ready for what comes next. The young man expresses his frustration about being interrupted while eating by someone wearing a Six Gates uniform appearing in his view. Reiji, injured and exhausted, curses himself for underestimating the danger by thinking the threat was only from the floor above. The young man rushes at his opponents with clenched fists while one bystander reacts with alarm, signaling the start of a dangerous confrontation. The young man delivers a powerful punch, his expression cold and determined as the impact explodes with unstoppable force. Reiji grimaces in pain as he coughs up blood, his injured hands trembling defensively. The man threatens to give them 10 minutes, ordering to beat someone up and bring him to him, revealing a ruthless plan unfolding. The young man sits on the ground surrounded by a group of aggressors who are urged to attack him ruthlessly, heightening the imminent danger he faces. The young man complains about wasting a meal because of a certain person and urges to finish quickly, hinting at a pressing urgency. The fighter braces himself on the ground, desperately blocking a barrage of heavy kicks aimed to overwhelm him. The young man remains calm and resolute as two powerful kicks narrowly miss him, hinting at a clash where he must rely on his instincts to survive. The young man struggles under a relentless assault from two attackers, while one of them curses him for his stubborn resistance. Reiji clenches his bandaged fist with fierce determination as he braces himself for the next blow, his gaze sharp despite the dirt and bruises marking his face. The young man reacts sharply to a sudden noise from the staircase, sensing imminent danger. The young man expresses disappointment about the new first years being untrustworthy. The man mocks how it takes a group to barely handle someone like Reiji, who fights fiercely despite the overwhelming odds and bloodied state. The young man sits on the stairs with a tense expression, beads of sweat revealing his growing anxiety about the situation. Reiji shouts defiantly that he doesn't need even 5 minutes, his battered body and fierce expression revealing a desperate urgency despite the visible wounds and blood around him. The fighter violently grabs the young man by the wrist and slams his head against the wall, signaling a brutal escalation in their fierce confrontation. A scream breaks the silence, signaling sudden shock or pain. The young man forcefully kicks another person, sending him crashing violently to the ground while shielding his face in shock. The injured young man angrily demands his companion confront a fleeing opponent, while another worries about the senior's condition. The speaker warns the group that failure to catch their target will bring severe consequences for all of them today. The guy, bruised and exhausted, forces a confident smile while clutching his injured hand, hinting at his unbroken will despite the pain. Reiji dashes forward with determination, thinking that he finally escaped and now only needs to reach the rear entrance. The gate bursts open with sudden force, signaling the arrival of something or someone important and setting the scene for imminent action or confrontation. Reiji flinches and realizes the approaching sound is another motorcycle, bracing himself for what might come next. The guy reacts with shock as a man on a speeding motorcycle suddenly charges toward him, their confrontation hinting at an imminent clash with high stakes. Reiji freezes in shock, struggling to comprehend the sudden and unexpected revelation that has caught him off guard. The young man sitting on the motorcycle accuses his opponent of being the one who attacked their friend, tightening his grip as the defeated man lies on the ground, shocked and vulnerable. The character expresses disbelief at the situation, revealing a mix of shock and incredulity. The young man confronts a powerful figure, questioning with disbelief how their side could have been defeated by someone like him, hinting at a tense and dangerous rivalry. The young man leans confidently with his hands in his pockets and sarcastically questions if the other is also kind of cute, hinting at a challenge masked as a playful taunt. The high school boss Hwang Hyuk-jin admits his fondness for cute things with a sinister grin that hints at a deeper, potentially dangerous obsession. The man with green hair mocks the defeated opponent by implying he enjoys toying with those he finds cute, suggesting a dangerous game of power and intimidation. The young man clenches his teeth in frustration, questioning the reckless danger of dragging someone behind a motorcycle and wondering about the twisted mind behind such a brutal act. The guy in bandages is surprised to see more rivals arriving, realizing the situation has just gotten more dangerous. The young man nervously calls out to his senior and taunts the group, implying they were also defeated by the same opponent. The injured man lies on the ground with a vacant expression, barely clinging to consciousness after a brutal fight. The character ominously promises to show the others some twisted affection, hinting at a dangerous intention behind his words. The character urgently refuses or objects to something the senior did or said. The angry young man vows to deal with their enemy, while the glowing-eyed fighter warns to stay away from his prey, a massive snake looming behind him with menace. The young man reacts with shock and fear, realizing something dangerous is about to happen as those around him also show signs of alarm. The young man senses a powerful aura and questions if this is the boss of Jinsang Technical High, while a group of intimidating figures stand behind him. The young man stands confidently with hands in pockets beside a motorcycle, while a defeated opponent lies on the ground, showing the cost of underestimating him. The young man rushes forward, determined not to waste time, while another guy reacts to his sudden movement, and he recalls that Jang Chung claimed the 1-2 combo is effective against any opponent. Reiji concentrates as he starts his attack with a precise jab from his left hand, testing his opponent's defense. The young man taunts his opponent with a confident smile, mocking their boldness in attacking first. The fighter grabs the young man by the leg with a fierce grin, while the latter struggles and utters a pained sound, revealing his vulnerability in the intense struggle. The young man gasps in shock, overwhelmed by the unbelievable power he has just witnessed. The young man is hurled violently through the air by a powerful strike, landing harshly on the ground as the force behind the attack reverberates around him. Reiji grits his teeth in pain and frustration as he lies battered and bruised on the ground, the signs of a fierce struggle evident on his face. The guy with green hair mocks the battered young man, saying he's not allowed to give up yet and inviting him to continue the fight with a sinister tone. The young man grabs his opponent midair during a dangerous fall, reacting with sharp surprise as the impact nears. Reiji is slammed violently onto the ground, the impact throwing up dust and blood, signaling the brutal cost of underestimating his opponent. Reiji struggles under a brutal attack, blood spilling as he gasps in pain, the impact threatening to steal his breath and spirit. A man mocks someone for causing trouble and another tells him to shut up, hinting at tense power dynamics and brewing conflict. The young man warns that once the current action ends, it will be their turn, revealing a tense anticipation of what's to come. A bruised man is choked by a sinister green-haired opponent who taunts him to keep struggling despite his weakness. The young man is suddenly struck in the face with a forceful kick, his surprise and pain unmistakably breaking through. The young man scolds the other for calling people cute despite his own small stature, and defiantly retorts that he is the cute one, even while being physically overpowered. The young man clenches his teeth tightly, revealing a mix of tension and restrained anger beneath his tense expression. The young man endures a harsh kick to the face while someone mockingly calls him cute, hinting at a disturbing power imbalance. The guy with purple hair expresses disbelief that someone might actually die, while the other man responds with surprise. A young man is lifted by the collar in a threatening manner, while another warns that Senior Hyukjin was bullied for his height, insisting that no one should ever call him cute. The young man suddenly notices the atmosphere shifting as he is grabbed by the throat, sensing an imminent threat. Reiji fights back fiercely, struggling against the grip on his throat, his determination burning despite the bruises and sweat. The young man intercepts the powerful kick aimed at him just in time, his wide-eyed surprise hinting at the unexpected strength of his opponent. The young man commands urgency, demanding to come quickly with a tense and intense expression that hints at a brewing conflict. The guy pushes the other down forcefully while declaring that he will send him into his hell. Reiji struggles desperately to breathe and move as he is trapped under a heavy weight, his mind racing with panic and helplessness. The young man expresses gratitude for the fierce challenge, raising his fists in triumphant excitement while holding down his opponent who struggles beneath him. The young man notices something has begun and acknowledges it with a tense expression, hinting at the importance and danger of what is unfolding. The character refers to a deadly technique called the triangle choke from hell, hinting at the imminent danger and the brutal fight to come. The young man struggles beneath the crushing coils of a massive serpent whose fangs drip venom, embodying a desperate fight for survival against overwhelming danger. The young man explains the danger of a technique that leaves anyone caught in it unable to use their limbs while being mercilessly beaten. The voice warns that escape is impossible until unconsciousness is reached, hinting at an imminent and unavoidable confrontation. The young man taunts his opponent with a manic smile, demanding to know if he is still considered cute despite the violence and bloodshed around him. Reiji is struck violently in the face, bleeding and realizing this fight is unlike any before, fearing for his life as he thinks he might die. The group of guys react with shock and confusion, one of them struggling to comprehend the unexpected news they've just heard. The fighter suddenly grabs the other by the waist and lifts him off the ground in a surprising move, clearly catching him off guard. Reiji trembles and presses his bruised hand to his face, hiding pain and fear as he struggles to stay composed. The fighter mocks his opponent by calling him cute while throwing him over his shoulder, catching the other man completely off guard. The guy forcefully restrains the main character, declaring possessiveness and claiming him as his forever. The fighter with green hair forcefully throws his opponent to the ground while the latter struggles in pain, revealing the brutal nature of their confrontation. The fighter taunts their opponent by mentioning the 7-second record at Jinsong and questions how long their target can endure, dripping with menace and anticipation. The young man struggles to stay conscious despite the overwhelming dizziness threatening to black him out. Pushing himself to hold on against the odds, the young man's intense determination blazes through his eyes as he vows never to be defeated by such enemies again. The young man steps cautiously on the sandy ground, his movement breaking the stillness with a subtle but deliberate sound. The man with green hair mocks the battered young man by saying he looks cute again, revealing a cruel satisfaction in his dominance. The man drags the injured fighter by his shirt, declaring he will continue tormenting him, hinting at more violence to come. The man with purple hair nervously remarks that their opponent has apparently lost interest in all of them, while the others around him exchange uneasy glances. A muscular man with green hair drags a battered and exhausted young man by the collar, indicating dominance and a tense power struggle under the night sky. Reiji lowers his head, bruised and exhausted, concealing the turmoil brewing beneath his quiet exterior. The young man struggles in a suffocating hold as his bully taunts him, reminding that before he transferred, such domination was a frequent torment. Three men mock the main character's struggle, noting his rolling eyes and surprising endurance with cruel amusement. The young man bites his arm with desperate pain, tears streaming down his face as he struggles to endure. A man's tense fingers dig into his bare skin as if trying to hold on to something fading away. The young man clenches his bandaged hand around a stone, illustrating a desperate survival tactic born from weakness. The young man sharply turns his head, catching an unexpected sound that immediately puts him on high alert. The guy clenches a rock in his bandaged fist, gritting his teeth in a fierce effort, while the green-haired young man looks on, surprised and tense. The young man is shocked and speechless, as if he just realized something terrible or unexpected. Reiji delivers a powerful flying kick to his opponent's head, shattering the ground beneath and sending a violent shockwave through the scene. The young man suddenly collapses backward, blood spurting from his mouth as debris flies around him, signaling a brutal and unexpected blow. The young man urgently calls out to his senior, signaling a sudden alarm or desperate need for attention. The young man runs forward with fierce determination despite his battered and bruised state, his clenched fists and fierce grin, showing he is ready to face whatever awaits him. The rapid footsteps echo through the empty alley, hinting at a tense chase or urgent escape unfolding nearby. A sinister voice taunts the main character as a monstrous snake lunges at him with jaws wide open, the threat imminent and deadly. The young man charges forward fiercely, declaring a challenge that he demands to be met. The young man realizes in disbelief that despite hitting his opponent with a rock, he is still able to move, and he thinks bitterly that he is dangerously close to the exit. The young man commands the fiery lion spirit to stop, surprising his allies who react with shock and confusion. The warrior narrows his eyes in deep thought, sensing a hidden danger beneath the calm night. The man with maroon hair warns the two injured young men that their next move will provoke the entire 6 gates high, placing them in a perilous situation. The young man, exhausted and wounded, realizes with relief that he has already escaped Jinsung's territory. The man with long maroon hair recognizes Jiang Chung's absence and reveals he intended to fight the other man all along, intensifying the brewing conflict. The man declares the end of the 6 Gates' era and boldly proclaims the dawn of Jinsung Technical, his fierce expression hinting at a rising power ready to reshape the future. The fighter clenches his fist tightly, ready to strike with fierce determination. The muscular fighter Kazuki delivers a brutal punch to the opponent's head, blood splattering and shockwaves erupting with overwhelming force. Reiji looks horrified and shouts out in desperation while blood splatters near him, revealing the severity of the situation he faces. The character reflects on the lack of progress made by the kids at Jinsung Technical, implying disappointment and a potential challenge ahead. The fighter clenches his fist tightly, preparing for a powerful strike as tension crackles in the air. The character explains that people only behave correctly after being struck. The young man lies battered and unconscious on the ground while 2 shadowy figures approach from the distance, the tension hinting at a grim aftermath of a fierce confrontation. Kazuki declares that the stage has been passed, his confident grin hiding the challenge that lies ahead. The character informs that only the final step remains and instructs to come to the roof tomorrow, hinting at a crucial upcoming event. The young man, bruised and dirty, wipes sweat from his face while determinedly holding back a nervous smile that hints at his resilience despite the struggle. The young men enter the school gates under a clear sky, their steps steady but hinting at the challenges awaiting them inside. The fighter delivers a powerful punch that shatters the wooden surface with a decisive impact. Reiji clenches his bandaged fist in determination as he insists on fighting at school, while the man behind him watches with a mix of concern and surprise. The young man presses his wrapped fist to his forehead, his bruised face and serious eyes revealing a battle-worn determination despite the pain.